Let's see what happens. I don't know why there is latency. Hello. All right. I turned on the live stream and suddenly there's a bunch of crows outside going absolutely bonkers. I decided to start the stream just a little bit early to see if it's working. So, hello. Darn, I don't know if the chat box is going to work or not. Let me see if I can get it to work. I don't know if I screwed up the chat box. I'm just starting it early just to see. See the chat box up there. All right, add the source. Make sure it's on there. Add the chat box. And then you guys can let me know if you see it when you get on here. I cannot see the chat box at all. I hope it ends up showing up on the screen. I'll move it over here. It shows up on my screen here, but it's not showing up on my YouTube screen for some reason. Oh boy, I did not mean to do that. Okay, now I see it. There's a huge delay on the screen. I'm really not sure why. See if I can fix that because, hey, Paul, how you doing? I'm gonna see if I can fix the latency here because there seems to be like a huge delay in whatever's popping up on the screen. And always show messages, font settings. Hold on a second. It's really not supposed to start till 8, but I just want to make sure everything's working because we've been having some problems if you didn't know. So let me see here. Source. I'm trying to make sure that there's not a delay, but I really can't. Are you all right? Did you hit your arm? All right. So let me see if I can see it now. There's an enormous delay in the chat box on the screen. Will you let me know if you can see a chat box on your screen? It's like I can see it in the... Oh, yeah. Sometimes it takes people a minute to get the notification. Plus, we tried doing this yesterday, and it cut off in the middle of it. Actually, it cut off twice, so... Can you see a chat box on the screen of yours?
Yesterday I could, but today I can't.
Okay. I wonder what I did here. See if I can add source. Huh. Game changer display capture. I don't know why the chat box doesn't work like it. How did I do that yesterday? Did I go here and do it? No, it wasn't there. You do see a chat box on the screen? Like where the skull is at, you see it? Wonder why I can't see it. Oh, maybe I have to do that one thing where you have to like refresh the caches. That's the one. I was learning how to do this the other day, and the guy said if it doesn't show up on the screen, that go back into your settings and refresh the cache. So let's see if that helps. And done. And then we'll see if it works. Okay, I see it now. I see it. You don't see that, Michael, on your screen? It just started showing up, so. Yeah, my internet went out and it didn't come back on until like after 11, so. I don't know what time we came out of here. It was like 10:30, wasn't it?
Something like that.
We were on here for a little while before it cut out, but I mean, I didn't even get through my first set of stories that I had planned for everybody, so we have quite a few left. I had set aside a bunch for everybody. Yeah, in the lower left corner, but it only shows up sometimes. Like now it's not showing up again. And now it's gone. Man. I don't know what's worse, the crows. There was like 20 crows outside that started going at it as soon as I turned the live stream on. Now it's Sunday night. You'd think that, See, on here I can see the chat box. Hey. Decent now. Wasn't so hot before. How you been?
Now I can see it.
You can see it on this screen. Can you see it on
I
yours?
can see it now.
Did you just see what Gling said on that screen? What are you seeing? What's the last person's name that showed up on the screen?
I just got my notification last night. Then I can't read the next one because it's mixed in with the candle.
Well, here's mine. It's right there. See? Maybe I didn't check the box where it says like messages stay up forever type thing. Or like sometimes you can, let me see if I can make sure that it stays up. Message animations. I didn't even know that was possible. I'm going through, you have to go through Streamlabs, OBS, or I think there's another way to stream on YouTube without. Like, I know there's people that live stream and they have their face right there, but it's really distracting to try and do that. It's really distracting to try and do that and read. Because a lot of people, like, talk to each other. What?
Don't work till 9 o'clock.
Why?
Don't know.
Selected properties. All right. I'm just going to leave this alone and see. I'm just going to leave it alone. Okay. All right. Let's see if it shows up. Yes. All right. Listen, you don't know the painstaking measures I went through to make sure that this live stream worked, that we had a cool background, and that there was a chat box on the screen. Because I know when I go on someone's, the crows are coming to get you. Every time I see a crow, all I can hear is, I don't know if you guys ever watched that 70s show, and Fez, what did he feed everybody?
He killed some crows and fed them to everyone.
He killed birds and fed them everybody because they were hungry, right?
Mm-hmm.
And then he told them all they were crow, and everyone freaked out because it's believed that crows are someone's soul. And Fez goes, "I ate someone's soul." And every time I look at a crow, that's what I think. We're just going to wait a few more minutes before we read. Do you like that stuff?
Mm-hmm.
I made an apple dump cake after dinner. Very filling. Super easy. I know that's riveting information for people that came here for scary stories, but Evil Outcast sneaks in and sits in the back. Well, you're not late, Evil Outcast. We just started. I wanted to make sure everything worked this time the right way. So we had some issues with Streamlabs. If you don't check all the right boxes and go through all the settings correctly, it is not going to work correct. I don't know why it's so complicated to work, but when it's quiet outside, our living room is like a great spot to live stream from and record. But when it's nice outside, we get a lot of traffic down our road because it's one of those roads that people go on to go for long drives. So, yeah. We have some stories lined up that we didn't get to last night. So, I'm going to wait like until 8:05 and then we'll start waves. Hey. Let's see. No, Trixie.
T.
Don't. My dog's going to start barking now. Perfect timing. Okay, let's see. Tonight we have lined up Rumors of the Hicks Road Colony, which is, I think it's about cannibals. Creepy stories from Chernobyl. Numerous people disappeared in Vermont's Bennington Triangle and no one knows why. 10 facts about Colma, California, the city of the dead. I have a couple more things, but we'll see where we're at when we're done with those. My dog's, the lady, glad to see you back. Let's not get carried away with that. Oh, no, I know what I was going to tell you guys. So today I noticed when I was going through like the YouTube studio and just seeing what other things are there, this thing popped up for memberships. And I thought you had to have at least 50,000 subscribers to have memberships. And the only reason I was like going through it and seeing like what's the cheapest membership you can have. So you can have one that's 99 cents. You can have a membership that's 99 cents, which I've never heard of anybody doing that. But if I did one, I put a thing in to have it reviewed to see if I would even get approved for it before I even like attempted it. Because they're going through and age restricting my serial killer Saturdays. It was bad enough that they would demonetize them, but then to age restrict them is ridiculous. The amount of work that goes into it, the other crazy crap that's on YouTube, it's just like, whatever. Anyway. Guess who's back? Back again. Dutch is back. Tell us up. I probably should have duplicated my voice somehow, but guess who's back? Guess who's back? I don't know. Unless I get carried away. There's a lot of competition on YouTube. I think there's so much competition on YouTube, and not just in this genre, just the horror community, true crime, just all together. The only reason I like doing it because I liked to search for killers that I had never heard of before, and I still have yet to see anyone else talk about Enriqueta Martí. And I know that I sound like a broken record when I bring her up because she was absolutely disgusting, and I don't know who's killed more people than her. She's in the thousands, and it's not even people, it's children. So it's really gross, but yeah. We're going to wait until 2 more minutes. 2 more minutes, we're going to start reading because I've tried to give everybody tons and tons of warning that we were going to live stream tonight since last night didn't really work out. So I'm going to try it. I liked them too. I was going through all my flash drives and organizing them and looking at old material. And I found like the Serial Killer Saturday intro in my files, and because I go through and sometimes I'm like, I'm not sure if this is like, because I had just made like a new one that had a different song to it. So I wanted to see which one it was. And it was the first one I made. And I was like, dang, I loved doing that. I just liked, even just making the intro, it kind of felt like I was doing something that wasn't just messing around. But I really, really love storytelling creepypastas too. So I don't know. I like them all. Maybe that's not. Hey, Dave. Peter Wilson, I forgot to say hello to you. Did I say hello to everyone? I'm just going to start from the top just because we're going to wait 1 more minute and then we're going to start reading. Paul, I said hello to you. We've been discussing things. Gling stepped in. Evil Outcast, Peter Wilson. And Dave, hello. My husband's next to me on the couch.
Hello.
For moral support. And to say things like, that's what she said, while I'm reading the stories. All right. Chat box is on the screen. Creepy background. Mic is working. Internet's working. Holla friggin' Luya. Let's go. Not waiting anymore. All right. So the first one up is rumors of the Hicks Road Colony have kept drivers away from the area for years. And I guess it's San Jose, California urban legend. Raise your hand if you're familiar at all with this. So let's see here. When considering if there are any real facts about the Hicks Road albinism colony, I don't want it. It should have been cannibalism colony, whatever. It's important to keep in mind that people with albinism aren't inherently evil. I'm really confused as to what she's referring to, so. The writer of this kind of. Okay, you're implying that they're cannibalisms. No, they're albino cannibalists? All right. Okay. Rather, these tales speak of cannibalism and satanic cults, but these aren't the traits of people with albinism by any means. That said, this is a myth from San Jose that just won't end. It helps that there are tons of witnesses willing to speak about their experiences on Hicks Road, a place teens still dare to venture to in the middle of the night. Okay. Hey, Element. Hey. Oh, you have heard of it, Glang? Oh. Hello, husband. Sorry, I don't know his name. Albino is basically... Yeah. But it was the, like... I know this story was about cannibalism, but I'm not sure why she tied in the fact that they're albino without explaining it. She had no lead up to that. Because they're supposed to be a group of cannibals that apparently are also albino. So I don't know. Anyway, let's see. The legend, let's see. I'm going to start here. The colony's origins may stem from other creepy local lore. There are several theories about how this supposed vicious clan came to live near Hicks Road. The legend has been around since the 70s, possibly earlier. It's persisted well into the modern age. However, the urban legend's origins are up for debate. One thing the stories all have in common, though, is that the people that live as part of the organized colony. One suggestion for where this rumored colony could have come from is that it's related to a Swedish community based at the entrance of Uvas Canyon Park. This group of people doesn't have albinism, but they can be very fair-skinned. I'm not sure what that has anything to do with being cannibalistic. Anyways, others say it began with United Technologies Corporation located nearby Metcalf Road. Okay, maybe that ties it in. This is a scientific research facility where technology is tested. This is the sort of facility that would incite rumors of genetic mutations. Some say a religious community, cult-like and possibly satanic, called the Holy City in nearby Santa Cruz Mountains is where the rumors started. Whatever the origin, the legend has long been passed around in schoolyards and classrooms around the area. All right. Legend has it that they chase anyone who ventures onto Hicks Road at night. Supposedly, the clan isn't too friendly to outsiders. Legend has it they will chase visitors out. In some accounts, they use cars and trucks to chase down vehicles and run people off the road. That's a convenient way to get dinner. Other times, it will give chase on foot. Ew. Hunting you for sport. Okay. In one account, a visitor to Hicks Road recalls what happened when a friend came across a dead deer on the road. Without warning, Dan's car collided with something. A large, dark figure is what blurred before Dan's eyes as he slammed on the brakes. When the car came to a rest, the headlights revealed a large buck sprawled across the street, clearly not moving. As all of the occupants of the car realized what had happened, another dark figure appeared from the roadside. Except for this figure split into 3 separate entities, moving quickly into the road. The headlights now showed 3 humans with pasty white skin and bloodshot eyes, working with haste. The 3 people with albinism dragged the bloodied buck down the hillside and out of sight. I mean, that's weird, but they obviously didn't try to attack the people, so That doesn't make any sense. All right, supposedly they attack with weapons. Although the creepy factor for this legend has more to do with the strange pale figures chasing people in the dark, another spooky aspect is that these mysterious people are apparently also quite aggressive. The stories say that those who have encountered the people with albinism have seen them sporting improvised weapons, even guns in some cases. There are no accounts of them actively taking a life, but they do seem to... Okay, pause. There are no accounts of them actively taking a life. How can they be cannibalists if they haven't taken a life? Do they wait for someone to die of natural causes and then they eat them? Ugh. Anyways, but they do seem to use these items to threaten people off their turf. In yet another personal account, one individual recalls an encounter with one such armed figure. We pulled off into the first turnoff, and a truck slammed on its brakes behind us. High beams still shining bright, and the driver opened his door and exited carrying a large object, which in our retellings of the story has been everything from a shotgun to a fishing pole. The screams from our vehicle could be heard from Silver Park to Old Elmeden, and we hit the gas and raced off Hicks as quickly as possible. Okay. Why do people do that with their motorcycles? Like, please. It's just annoying. Anyway. No hate if you have a motorcycle, but I really don't understand why you need to go down a residential road and do that while someone's trying to live stream and tell stories. Anyway. The colony. When I say this is like a new section. Like, the colony might actually be a satanic cult, apparently. So one version of the Hicks Road legend states the individual is afflicted with genetic disorder, but they are also linked to the devil. This sounds like an entire article of assumptions, basically. So there are rumors that the colony on Hicks Road is part of a secluded cult that worships Satan. Their attacks on people at night might actually be how they gather human sacrifices, or possibly just how they keep people away from their evil practices. The satanic cult rumor goes one step further, claiming visitors to the road can call upon the cult for revenge on enemies. According to the tales, a bridge near Hicks Road has been cursed by the cult. Those who write a person's name on the bridge will be granted the demise of that person. A difficult thing to prove, of course, but an even darker reason to trek down Hicks Road. I mean, no one has footage of this stuff. Scavenger cannibals. Harry. I remember you, Harry. The chat screen delay is quite a time. Yeah. Yeah, it's just going to be on there. I thought it would be much cooler than it is, though. Thank you, random guy on the motorcycles. Really appreciate that. Let's see. All right, motorcycles are gone again. Stories tell of the colony's cannibalistic tendencies. So possibly the most frightening aspect reported about this evasive colony is that they are supposed cannibals. Stories depict them carrying off deer, trying to bite into humans, even going after family pets. In particular, one story claims a colony member carried off a poodle in the night. Bones of dogs have been found in the area, even fueling the rumor. If the rumors that the colony has satanic ties is true, this may also account for their craving of flesh. Let's see. Let's see. Greetings. Greetings. Emerther aliens. Let's see. Alright. Let's see. Even if you don't see them, you may hear them screaming. So adding to an already terrifying prospect, not only might any visitor to Hicks Road come upon the vicious mob, they are apt to hear them as well. As though glowing red eyes and weapons weren't intimidating enough, the individuals on Hicks Road are known to scream out in terrifying, unearthly tones. The shrieking echoes in the darkness, resulting in those who claim to have heard, if not seen, the horde. The prospect of hearing screams in the area is enough to keep many from daring to visit. Though of course, the sounds could just be barn owls or coyotes, but who can say for sure? Okay, first of all, barn owls are not going to be like a herd of screaming people. Coyotes sound like a group of people telling jokes and it's creepy laughing. So there's definitely a difference there. I'm not sure why anyone would dismiss it as that. Tink. Hey. Squirrel. Robot squirrel. Why? It's not robotic, is it? I hope the voice isn't coming off as robotic today. I have my good mic out connected. Some electrified. Boop beep boop. Some believe they are ghosts. A more supernatural theory suggests that the pale-looking individuals are not humans at all. Given their appearance and tales of their strange screaming and violence, some have suggested that they may not be of this earth. Instead, the terrifying attackers might be ghosts. What? Oh my gosh. Psychics have weighed in with their own opinions on this mysterious phenomena. It's quite likely that these are echoes of some former territorial band of people who at one time lived in the region. Why they should present as people with albinism seems obvious to me. They're not people with albinism, they're ghosts, and people see them as ectoplasm. Listen, if I were a reputable psychic, there is no way I would have given my opinion and stated it as such in writing anywhere, even if they paid you. That makes you look like a crazy person, and no one is going to come to you for a reading. Anyways, if ghosts are too supernatural a prospect for you, another researcher posits a more science fiction-y explanation. This person posits that the people with albinism are actually from another dimension, saying, I wouldn't be surprised at all if these things exist in the area alone in the world. Perhaps the last vestiges of some dying race of creatures from another world or another dimension. Maybe they're not even that dissimilar to us except for their basic nature. I don't know. But if you're not going to go out there and explore it, then why would you give an opinion on it? Hey. I need to know for a thing. Well, stumble on out to San Jose, California, and go down Hicks Road and go put a little bell around your neck and then go, dinner time. And then get back to us and let us know how that goes. Anyone that's near rub butter all over yourself. Maybe a little salt and pepper. Bake out in the sun.
Garlic.
15 to 20 minutes. See if you can reach about 350. I don't know. Let's see. Cannibal tribe I know of would be North Sentinelese Island tribe on a forbidden to travel island. Yeah, isn't that one where they have that one photograph of people trying to get to the island and they're literally on the beach pointing their arrows at the whatever device is trying to take their picture because they don't want outsiders in their area at all. Which, do you blame them? Because everyone that does that destroys everything they get their hands on. All right, so this next part says they're the inspiration for a horror film. Let's see, which one is that? The legend has been so long ingrained in the culture of San Jose that it even inspired several works of art. One man wrote a novel about the phenomena, and another group created a horror movie based on the colony. The film was a student film project that came out in 2009. It can be found online, and the film is described on IMDb as follows. The urban legend of Hicks Road has captured the minds and thoughts of many residents in San Jose, California, and especially the imagination of 4 college students that grew up hearing the stories again and again. These 4 curiosity seekers attempt to find out what is really going on in the shadows of Hicks Road. But little do they know what lies ahead will haunt and change them for the rest of their lives. And then, you know what? They don't give us the name of the horror film. So thanks. That's wonderful. Dubco, hey. Yes, they'll kill anyone who goes there. On North Sentinel Island, they even killed a missionary that went there, hence why travel is banned. I'm British. I feel I know the joys of colonizing people. They don't much care for being... to be told, truth be told, no one should be colonizing anything or anyone. And as it goes right now, there is too much to fix and apologize for that no one should even attempt to be going into any new areas and trying to take it over. Take your grubby hands, keep them to yourselves, and go fix the messes that we already have. Thank you. That's my TED Talk for today. A religious guy tried to go there and spread the good word, and they killed him. Yeah, because that's not their good word. Their good word is barbecue sauce. Cannibal Holocaust is the horror film. Thanks, Tank. How did you know that?
Thanks a lot.
Tanks a lot, my husband said. That's correct, Tank. I was just typing that. Oh, cool. Okay. Cannibal Holocaust. I mean, I don't know if I want to watch it.
Sounds like one of the guys from 18.
Tank does?
No,
Tank.
Cannibal Holocaust.
Oh. All right, this legend may spring from the homeless population in the area. So, of course, as with any local legend, there are often real and rational reasons for the stories. For one, there is no record of a group of people with albinism living near San Jose. Do you think there would be? Wouldn't we have some names or some pictures or video? Trail cam even? Come on. Okay, so while such an organized group could theoretically do so, stay off the grid, yeah, but someone would have some sort of satellite pictures, or if they knew the area, someone would take is that a drone?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, they would go over and take photos that way. I don't see any. There would likely be some official trace of them. One pronounced group of people in San Jose area is the local homeless population. So the Jungle, one such community, was so big that it literally contained over 300 people during its height. More of these encampments in smaller sizes dot the city and its surrounding areas, including the region and parks near Hicks Road. Such a population may currently live near the area of these supposed attacks or lived there at one time. Because there have been homeless encampments in the area for so many decades, this may be part of where the legend came from. I don't know, but I'm not a fan of the person that wrote this article, but because it seems like they just pieced some crap together so they could make their deadline and get that paycheck. Oh, let's see here. Too much mess. We'll start a fire and start over. Yeah, there's many forest fires going on right now. Turkey, Canada, and California all have massive fires going on right now. Oh, and the ocean was on fire too. There was 3 ocean fires. Not sure if they're all out. If anyone knows, that'd be great. I know that because I have over 1,500 DVDs and Blu-rays in a room. Wow. You should share that on Twitter and tag me in it. That sounds awesome. Oh, another bike. Awesome. Let's see here. Not too bad. Okay. I won't read you guys this personal conversation. Anyway, okay. San Jose lore places the colony all over the city. So although the stories most direct people to Hicks Road, there are stories of the possibly murderous colony all over the city of San Jose. They are said to frequent Quicksilver Park, especially as there are supposed mines nearby to hide in. Stories say that people live in these mines. I mean, I would think that if one were homeless, one would gravitate toward mines just because it's a good shelter, no? If you stay near the entrance. I don't know. Anyway, people who may be the same colony from Hicks Road, an abandoned military post at the top of Mount Umanhum, oh my gosh, I know I said that wrong, has only just opened to the public in recent years. Before it was open, people who ventured up there sometimes reported strange sightings of mysterious figures. Even in the nearby forests and park that surround the city, the legends of the dastardly colony persist. However, most people do agree that Hicks Road is where they reside most often, and that's what draws many thrill seekers out for late night rides. What? Because they're trying to get a some photographs of these people or what? Northern California. Northern California element. For good reason, individuals with albinism dislike the continued telling of the legend. I mean, yeah, because I didn't think it was about people with albinism. It was about cannibals. So I'm really confused by this entire article. And this is the last section of it, thank goodness. Okay, so, of course, the albino colony of Hicks Road is mere speculation and local lore. There are those who'd like to see the legend finally die out. There's two groups of people who are particularly upset with the continuation of this myth. The first is people with albinism. Albinism is obviously not a supernatural occurrence and actually a genetic disorder linked to serious health problems. There's already a stigma surrounding those with albinism, and this legend of evil, cannibalistic, satanic albinos only furthers to reinforce that stigma. The other group of people bothered by the legend are those who live around Hicks Road. The stories have attracted daring teens out to the area at night to explore for decades. Sometimes trespassers leave messes and even damage property. And many residents have put up signs to keep visitors out. Wow, that was the worst article I think I've ever read. I know I've read some bad ones, but geez Louise, man. He's dabbing? Oh my god. Cannibals are just trying to solve world hunger. Wow. I don't see the kitties pic. Oh, the kitties are beautiful to me. Okay.
Yeah, you're talking about your kitties.
My husband went into bubbles mode as soon as he saw that. Heard it, saw it, whichever. Now we're moving on to creepy stories from Chernobyl. So maybe these will actually be actually scary, because those weren't. And they were horribly written. All right. Let's see how many are here. These ones are actually numbered, which I love when I am reading these for you guys. It's really helpful for you guys to know, and it's helpful for me to know. On average, there's usually about 15. This one has 16, so, you know, and they're not long. People are crazy. Yeah, they are. Albino cannibals. That would make them a stone's throw from being vampires that worship Satan. Huh. Albino cannibals. They can't go out in the sun. So.
I heard they like dark meat.
Wow. Gross. All right. Moving on to Chernobyl. So this should be disgusting. There's pictures in this. And this is why I missed the old way of live streaming, because I could share pictures before. But I can't do that now. All right. Let us in. Message retracted. Okay. Hello. All right. Sorry, I'm getting distracted. This is number 1 of the stories from Chernobyl. Creepy stories from, let me emphasize, creepy stories from Chernobyl. All right. Number 1. This one is the Ghosts of Chernobyl. As with any site where a number of people have lost their lives, Pripyat is rife with ghost stories. I'm sure I'm going to say the names wrong, so I'm sorry in advance. Andrei, I'm not going to say his last name because I'm going to screw it up, is a nuclear physicist from New York. Told one such story after visiting the area in 1997. He said he went to the power station at 7:30 a.m. and went to the number 4 reactor sarcophagus, which is where the explosion occurred. He could not go inside due to radiation, but as he took radiation readings, he heard someone screaming for rescue from a fire inside. I ran upstairs to tell someone, but they said that when I entered the reactor control room, I was the first person to open that door in 3 years, and the only way to get inside the old reactor is through the doors I came in through. If someone had gone inside the reactor when I was not looking, they would have tripped the alarm, and that goes off when the reactor door is opened mechanically. The reactor door requires a password and a handprint, yet someone or something was inside. Later that evening, as we were eating dinner outside the building by the river next to the plant, a floodlight turned on in the room of the installation. There was no way anybody could be inside. As we ate, we figured there was a power surge or something. Then, just as my colleague said that, the light turned off. Yeah, I would think just being in Chernobyl would be creepy. The fear of becoming radiated and knowing what happened there. Oh, yeah. You don't know what Chernobyl is? Let me see if there's a... Okay. On April 26, 1986, this is what Chernobyl is. So in case anybody else doesn't know, hey cats. In case anybody doesn't know, Melissa Perez, hello. If there's anybody that I missed, I'm really sorry. Please let me know. All right. We're reading Creepy Stories from Chernobyl, and Element asks what Chernobyl is. On April 26, 1986, one of the world's worst disasters occurred in the Ukrainian city of Pripyat. At the time was part of the USSR. There was an explosion caused by a flawed reactor design at the Chernobyl nuclear power plant, which spewed radiation into the air. Only Chernobyl and Fukushima have been rated as a level 7 on the International Nuclear Event Scale, and that's the highest the scale goes. The city of Pripyat was evacuated, and a total of 31 people died as an immediate result of the accident itself. But 500,000 people were affected by it. The destruction was so massive that it took nearly 1 million people to clean up Chernobyl. In 2011, Pripyat became a tourist attraction. And 3 decades later, the ghost town is still captured by photographers who snap haunting images of abandoned toys and dilapidated buildings. So that's what Chernobyl is. I'm sorry, I really didn't know that people didn't know what Chernobyl was. It's just that I'm old, and I was a little kid when that happened. And if you go back and watch any documentation or documentaries about it, it's really scary and it's really sad. Let's see. Yeah. Well, and if you weren't here and you don't know, I switched jobs in March, which gave me some free time to make videos, and then I immediately got COVID. So that's where I've been, just catching you up real quick, if anybody didn't know that. And you're gonna hear me gasping for air a little bit because I kind of do that right now. I don't know if that's gonna go away, or I'm hoping it goes away, but it sucks. So yeah, moving on. Number 2. Performers were brought in to calm local residents and contracted radiation sickness themselves. Wow. This is from Redditor Creepy Jake. So, hi everyone, I'm Jake. I met Yuri in a bar in Finland. This is my Reddit account. Over a couple nights and some vodka, I recorded his voice to capture the story and piece it together. These are his words and his story. If you were to meet Yuri as I have, you might not be so doubtful. The man is a gifted musician, a gentle soul, and was a true gift to meet him. I've shared some of the positive comments with him, but I'm not reading anything negative. Okay. So, Yuri's account goes as follows. Please forgive my poor English because it cannot be my primary choice language. So he typed it as Yuri spoke, so I'm going to read it as such also. Oh, sorry, Gling. I'm so sorry to hear that. It's very hard. I don't know. I don't think it matters how old you are when a parent passes away. It makes you feel like completely helpless. And can be very painful and somewhat confusing. Anyways, I'm so sorry. I'm going to get back to this because I'll go off a squirrel trail and get distracted. Sorry. All right, so this is Yuri's account, and he typed this as Yuri spoke, and I'm going to read it as it's typed. So please forgive my poor English because it cannot be my primary choice language. Please call me Yuri. I'm a musician in taverns of Northern Europe for drinks and the generosity of patrons. I was once classically trained pianist. I studied at the St. Petersburg Conservatory in the late 1970s. I lost my eyesight and I have numerous illnesses. I am a survivor of Chernobyl. As the disaster commencement occurred, I was in state-sponsored musical dance troupe. Our gathering was immediately enlisted by the government to calm village peoples in Pripyat and surrounding areas. Mere hours after the meltdown commenced, our bus entered the exclusion zone at checkpoint. We were not told anything, and the soldiers made it forbidden for speaking with the village people. Imagine not knowing a disaster taking place, yet seeing the strange workings of the radioactivity all around. Everyone was sick and dying, yet quarantined and not allowed to leave the zone. Some believed the world was ending, and we all became resigned to the fact that we will certainly die. The soldiers had masks and guns, but I could see the fear on their face too. As dead men and women, we gave our best musician and dancer performances ever. Allow me to describe our final performance at Pripyat. As the music played, the ballerina danced like never before. The passion in the music and her movements were legendary. She was a beautiful girl, dancing her final dance with love in her heart. She allowed her long, flowing hair down, and it seemed to float mystically in the air as the music crescendoed, and she spun delicately around. Her hair was falling away from her head, gently. Long golden strands of her hair floated to the floor as she danced. I saw the blood leaking from her nostrils and down cheeks from her tears. The sparse crowd knew the face of death, and it was surely the final dance. The children ran to her with flowers from the meadow. Her hair and teeth had fallen out already. The petrol generator stalled, and for several moments we were in darkness. And to my utter horror, I saw the flowers and the children glowing in the dark. That night I climbed out of the window of the lodging house. The soldier who saw me lowered his carbine when our eyes locked in silence. I ran through the alley and hot-wired the car. I drove non-stop northwest, on back roads I learned as a boy. Avoided checkpoints imposed by military. I siphoned the petrol from another vehicle in the night. I began missing my vision during my flight, and by the time I escaped USSR, I was blind. I am only musician who lived. Wow. I have never heard that before. Have you? So this ballerina knew, like they figured out without anyone telling them what was happening, and she decided, even though she knew she was going to die, she was going to dance, and literally died as she danced. What? Wow. That's a hard one to move on to. Number 3. The Soviet government sent in soldiers when the meltdown destroyed robot cleaning crews. Oh boy. After evacuating the residents of Pripyat, the city bordering the Chernobyl power plant, the Soviet government sent robots into the exclusion zone to contain the meltdown and put out a raging fire. The excessive radiation in the air prevented the robots from doing their work, so the government rounded up a bunch of soldiers, gave them a choice. Served 2 years in Afghanistan, where the Soviets were engaged in a brutal conflict against conflict, or spend 2 minutes shoveling sand onto the exposed reactor at Chernobyl. No way. I'll go and fight. I'm not gonna, no. Soldiers who chose Chernobyl were known as liquidators. At the time of the meltdown and into the 21st century, Ukrainians believe vodka prevents the adverse effects of radiation. So liquidators typically took a shot of vodka, shoveled sand onto the exposed reactor for 2 minutes. Most liquidators passed or contracted an illness due to radiation poisoning. Well, yeah. Yeah. Yikes. Thanks, cats. I really did look for something cool for the background. And you have no idea what I did or went through to get that chat box on that screen, which is kind of redundant since you guys, it kind of cuts off part of the thing, but I don't know. I thought you guys might like it. Hey, Outrum. Die or die then? Yeah, of course they did. I'm sure that either way they were in harm's way, so I don't think that's much of a choice. It was die or die faster. I think that was, yeah. The robot cleaning crew can stop by here. I wonder what, yeah. Let's see. Number 4, the Blackbird of Chernobyl. So according to legend, several people began to see a large winged creature with red eyes in early April before the Chernobyl disaster. Okay, right away that's linked to the Mothman. And if you go back and read any Mothman stories, that ties right together with people believe that they saw the Mothman right before Chernobyl. If anybody recalls that. Not laughing about that. My cat's laying on the couch, needing the air because my husband's rubbing her belly. Oh, my dog is over on the love seat. Just because she powdered herself to sleep anyway. Okay. All right, so according to legend, several people began to see a large winged creature with red eyes in early April before the Chernobyl disaster. The creature became known as the Blackbird of Chernobyl, and many have drawn parallels between this creature and America's Mothman. Both creatures were supposedly seen right before disasters. The Mothman was spotted right before the Silver Bridge collapsed in Point Pleasant, West Virginia, a tragedy that cost 46 people their lives. They're also similar in appearance, large black winged figures with glowing scarlet eyes. Survivors of the Chernobyl disaster reported seeing the creature flying away from the reactor. Reports of the bird stopped immediately after the disaster. Those who believe that the bird was a paranormal entity regard it as a harbinger of terrible things to come, while others believe it was merely a black stork. I've never heard of a black stork before, have you? But I guess it could happen. You can't, I totally agree with you. Oh, I'm sorry, I'm not going to do that. I believe when people see something, multiple people see something, and they report it, and it's an official document, and it goes back, what is it, 80 years now? 70 years. Wasn't the first sighting of Mothman in the 50s? And I think we're going to do some stories on the Mothman, because every time someone tries to go and see the Mothman, try to hunt him down, there's document after document after document after document of people attempting to find and seek out the Mothman, only to have horrible things happen to them or strange anomalies happen to them. So I haven't seen it firsthand. As with anything, I need to see something to believe it, but I'm not going to discount someone else's experience either. So yeah, Mothman prophecies is a omen of death. Yeah. There was like I don't know if anybody saw Paranormal Witness when it was on, which I really loved that. I thought they did a really good job producing that entire show. They were retelling a couple's experience with trying to, they thought they were going to have a fun time and try and research or see the Mothman, and they went through this entire series of horrible events that unfolded. Is it related? I don't know, but I didn't live their life. Yeah, so what is this Mothman? Ooh, I'll have to look it up, and then we'll put a pin in that, cats. All right. Well, he's not like a moth at all. He's just a terrible thing. We'll put a pin in that. We'll come back to that. We're going to finish with Chernobyl first. And we're on number 5, and there's 15 of these. Sorry, I keep pulling away from the microphone because I have heartburn, and I'm not sure if that's going to make a noise from my throat into the microphone, which I think would be like, rah, or something. All right. No, thank you. No, thank you. The Chernobyl Amusement Park. So, if you guys have a chance to Google the Chernobyl Amusement Park, the photographs that people catch are haunting. Let's see here. Pripyat Amusement Park should have been a fun addition to the town. It was slated to open on May 1st, 1986, just days after the disaster. Obviously, the park would never open and has simply been left to rust. The amusement park has a Ferris wheel, bumper bars, a paratrooper attraction, and swing boats. Even though high levels of radiation still exist in the mossy areas of the park, it's a popular backdrop for ruin photographers. The park was also used as a setting in the Call of Duty 4 Modern Warfare. It bears similarity to Six Flags New Orleans, another early abandoned amusement park which has been empty since Hurricane Katrina. Oh my gosh. I'm sorry. It's so nice out. I want to have my windows open, and the amount of traffic is, of course, divinely timed. Anyways. Let's see. Mothman is like Bigfoot. It's a cryptid creature of myth yet to be proven, and is specifically has ties to disasters such as bridge collapses and Chernobyl. Yes. Number 6, Chernobyl's mutant animals. I could have done without the picture. My goodness. Many reports of deformed and strange beasts near Chernobyl can be found all over the internet, indicating that radiation has severe effects on animal population. To be sure, some severe mutations were seen right after the accident. There's a piglet in a photo that I'm looking at, and I had to scroll up from it so I couldn't look at it, that suffered from difficus. So it's got, I don't know, it's just shredded apart. But it was born that way, okay. It was born near the site of the explosion. Contemporary animals, however, are typically okay, even though their internal radiation levels are higher than most. They don't suffer significant genetic mutations, though some species have issues. For instance, some birds have developed smaller brains, and some rodents have decreased litters. I don't think that's a problem. Or do not live as long. However, overall, animal populations seem to be doing better now than they were when humans were farming there before. According to a 2016 report, some species are actually increasing with the exclusion zone. Yet scientists continue to debate what the long-term effects of exposure will be for the animals that live there. And that's how we get... Oh no. What is the name of that movie? The series. Zombie series. It's also a game. Alice. Oh my gosh, I'm drawing a blank. Oh my god. What is the name? Somebody help me out. Do you know what I'm talking about? What the heck is the name of that movie? Series. It's like 7 parts to it. Alice. All I can think of is Alice, but I can't think of the name of the movie. I know you guys are going to know exactly what movie I'm talking about. Dang it. My god. Resident Evil Tank to the rescue again. Thank you. My gosh. I was just looking at Prime today, seeing all the Resident Evils that were on there, and I almost watched like one of the animated ones because I never have. So I might have to do that because I've seen all the other ones. Anyways, that was my whole point, and I got off track anyway. Okay, so number 7, the elephant's foot. So if you have a chance to Google the elephant's foot, go ahead. Elephants are cute, so you'd think anything named after their feet would also be cute, but you'd be wrong. As this particular euphemism refers to a flow of hot lava that will end you after 300 seconds. That's a mere 5 minutes of exposure, and not quickly either, as your life will reportedly slowly cease within 2 days. According to Kyle Hill in an article for Nautilus, this thick black lava was discovered by emergency responders who entered a stream corridor underneath the number 4 reactor. The crew's radiation sensors warned them to stay away. What happened was this. The radioactive particles got so hot they melted and turned into a flow of lava. which in turn melted through the bottom of the reactor vessel and all the way down until it cooled enough to form the big glop you see above. Photos of the elephant's foot were taken via camera on wheels, and it was determined that the blob consisted mostly of concrete and other materials that the fuel melted on the way down. Still, going near it was a bad idea, and experts advise not going near it even today. Yeah, that would be scary. Yeah, Mila Jovovich, yeah. Oh, cool. Elephant's foot. Number 8, an entire village was bulldozed. Only its kindergarten remains standing. Kapachi was a small village about 4.5 miles southwest of Chernobyl. After evacuating the village, Soviet authorities found such high radiation levels in the area, they decided to bulldoze everything in Kapachi other than the elementary school and bury it all in the soil. Why do people think that burying stuff that's bad is going to be good in the long run? Like, it's still there. That's the problem when you create something like this. You don't create a what-if scenario. How are you going to clean it up if it spills? How? If you don't have a legitimate plan that's not going to harm everybody, it shouldn't even exist.
You have to dig it completely up, then replace it with fresh soil.
And then what? You're going to have to shoot it into outer space. That's the only way to get rid of it.
What do you do with the soil that was dug up?
You got to get it off the planet.
You can't recycle it.
No, and it sinks into the ground. It's never gone. Okay, anyway. Unbeknownst to those who made this decision, burying radioactive materials result in their radioactivity leaking into the ground. In the case of Kapachi, the radioactivity of the buildings became part of the soil and water table, making the region uninhabitable for generations. The surviving school is an attraction for ruin photographers who have captured eerie Kapachi images of old toys, school materials, dolls, and stuffed animals 3 decades on from the meltdown. Dang. Oh. Yeah, the trees are a little thick right now across the street, but if I look above the trees, I can see, like, the sky is pink and blue. It's really pretty outside right now. Yeah. Yeah, it's still there. And, I don't know, I must have cut off at the end, but I guess that the last sentence was, experts say going near it is a bad idea even today. So, yeah, put it where? Like, outer space. I'm not sure why they even create something when they have no way of controlling it to a point where it is mistake proof. And if you can't make it mistake proof, then you shouldn't be creating it when it's something that can cause so much destruction. Let's see. Number 9 is a generation of so-called stalkers romanticize the ruins. In 2014, Slate ran an extensive piece by Holly Morris on a subcultural phenomenon known as stalkers. These young Russians and Ukrainians, almost all of whom are men, romanticize the apocalyptic environment of the exclusion zone, the cordoned off area surrounding Chernobyl. They sneak in, explore buildings, sleep in ruins, and even bring Geiger counters along to see how much radiation they expose themselves to on their journey. Cool. That'll be a nice record for their doctors. They're trying to figure out what's wrong with them in 5 years. Stalkers take their name from characters in the novel Roadside Picnic, which was turned into a classic Soviet film entitled Stalker. The term refers to thieves who sneak into zones harboring lethal phenomenon, places to which authorities have forbidden entrance. Some stalkers of the exclusion zone are inspired by a Ukrainian first-person shooter called Stalker. First-person shooter game, which is extremely popular. By sneaking into the zone, they can live out scenes from the game while sifting through years of frozen history. Soviet ID cards and other objects left behind are tactile evidence of a mythical world many of these people grew up hearing about but never lived through. Stalkers court danger by eating fruit that grows in the zone. Why would you eat the fruit? While sharing tales of ancestors who lived and worked there when disaster struck. They dress in paramilitary gear and wear gas masks, baklava, and other such covers. Balaklavas, not baklava. I'm sorry. I was just picturing people in military gear having baklava taped all over them. And I'm like, why would you do that? Didn't make any sense. Balaclavas and other such covers on their faces. Moving on. You can all tease me now. That's so funny. Radioactive material is naturally from underground in most cases, and the fact that we as humans refine the material into more pure, or that makes the radioactive more dangerous to keep it stored. Yikes. Let's see. Number 10 is Chernobyl was a cover-up. Okay, so the documentary, this is an interesting theory. The documentary The Russian Woodpecker explores a conspiracy theory as explained by Ukrainian artist Fodor. I'm not going to say his name, I'm just going to butcher it. The theory indicates that the meltdown was actually orchestrated in order to cover up the failure of the Russian Woodpecker. The Russian Woodpecker was an array radar meant to detect missiles before they'd been launched, and was so named for the loud tapping sound similar to a woodpecker pecking on wood. But it cost 7 billion rubles and it didn't work. The woodpecker, formerly called Duga 3, was located very near Chernobyl. The evidence, the Duga 3 probably didn't work because of the Aurora Borealis messing with signals, which the Soviets may not have accounted for. And it would have been very bad for Soviet leaders to admit they screwed up. Furthermore, Chernobyl's instability was already well known, and they'd had issues with the reactors before, so a meltdown would make a convincing story. How likely is this to be true? Well, it's a complicated plan that would have had to have been perfectly executed to succeed, and to experts that seem pretty unlikely. But some weird stuff did supposedly happen while the crew was making the documentary, including visits from the secret police and the sniper shooting of one of the crew members during the Euromaidan protests. However, this isn't the only Chernobyl conspiracy theory that abounds. I bet. Because, I mean, imagine, like, what actually went wrong. I don't know. Fruit. Homer's voice. Yeah, there's a delay there, isn't there? Why would you eat the fruit? Number 11 is the fatalistic youth is an unexpected side effect of the meltdown. So in a report entitled Chernobyl's Legacy, Health, Environment, and Socioeconomic Impacts, Dr. Fred Mettler of the International Atomic Energy Association discusses a unique strain of paralyzing fatalism present in youth who grew up in the shadow of the nuclear meltdown. The population remains largely unsure of what the effects of radiation actually are and retain a sense of foreboding. A number of adolescents and young adults who have been exposed to modest or small amounts of radiation feel that they are somehow fatally flawed and there's no downside to using illicit drugs or having unprotected sex. It's estimated that the negative effects on mental health within the area outweigh the projected physiological effects of the meltdown. Or they could be equally. I think that happens a lot, though, when you have like not just a meltdown, but you have like areas of war. People are so focused on trying to survive that they forget about the mental health aspect or the day-to-day. People are supposed to just go back to living a day-to-day life. How are you supposed to do that?
I don't know.
Especially when you're listening to an entire generation. You're growing up with an entire generation that is traumatized from that event happening that they witnessed. And they never were allowed to truly heal from their trauma. So it's something that plays on repeat probably in their head. I know that there's some people that can move on somewhat and have somewhat of a normal life, even people that went to war. There's many that can't, and there's nothing wrong with that. I think that we ignore that aspect in people way too much and expect them to just be fine. I don't know. Someday mental health and medical health will be treated equally seriously by professionals, and it won't be separate. All right. Is this thing still working? All right. Number 12. 7 survivors seek immortality. So a Russian scientist who managed to survive the disaster moved to a very small Greek island called the Gavdos with 6 other Russian scientists. They easily made a home there, but some conspiracies suggest that the scientists actually went to the island in an attempt to seize control of the Earth or to become immortal. Gavdos had about 50 permanent residents, though it's a popular spot for tourists in the summer. In mythology, the island had been thought of as the real Calypso's mythical island home where the sorceress kept Odysseus, oh my gosh, captive for 7 years. Oh my gosh. Vice spoke to a filmmaker making a documentary about the immortality commune of Gavdos, who said that the scientists work on various inventions from inside a compound. They have 7 acres of land given to them by a priest, and they are kind to other residents of the island, often working on various projects free of charge. Some think the Russian scientists are spies, while others think they survived due to the island's healing properties. But the scientists themselves seem consumed with the idea of immortality and with Greek philosophy. They're even building a temple they call the Temple of Apollo. I don't know, that whole story was a mess, so... Fountain of Youth. Slippy toad. Fountain of Youth, huh? Ugh. Chernobyl's ruin photography is fake? What? Photographer Darman Richer claims the abandoned Chernobyl we often see in photos is not real, but rather a facade meant to make money off of people who love ruin porn. Richter visited Pripyat and said the city was desolate in many ways and still dangerous. However, he says, a lot of the chilling photographs we see online have been manufactured by photographers looking to create the perfect horror. I observed the countless instances of tourists moving these artifacts around or repositioning furniture for a better shot. I watched a photographer arrange stuffed bears and little dolls so that they sat in a line along the edge of a bare, metal-framed bed. Richter also alleges that the site purposely profits off of disaster tourists, which he believes approximates 10,000 people per year. All right, here's a real question, and I wish I would have researched it before. So if somebody goes there and they get mild radiation and then they come back around you, are they exuding radiation and therefore could possibly infect you with radiation? Like, because you can get radiation from things if you're near them, right? So if a person has specific levels of radiation, can they not also radiate someone else? I don't know. And let's see, number 14 here. There's one more of this one, and then we're going to move on to something else. So, aliens saved us from an even worse fate, supposedly. So there's an alien conspiracy that revolves around Chernobyl. Not that alien caused the disaster, but that extraterrestrials saved the human race from utter annihilation. According to the conspiracy, people spotted UFOs around the same time as the Chernobyl explosion. One witness reported seeing an object for about 6 hours. Those who believe that this object was both real and piloted by aliens suggest that the aliens helped tone down radiation levels, preventing an even larger blast. Though the damage was certainly terrible, it wasn't as apocalyptically bad as believers say it could have been. A doctor claimed to have seen a similar UFO 3 years later at a time when a reactor was sending off high radiation levels. Similar conspiracies surround the Fukushima disaster as well, so... That's weird. Yeah, I'm not discounting the aliens are real. And at this point, I think the government tries to distract us with releasing their secret documents, even though everyone else already thinks that they're real. At this point, everyone just wants them to come and either take us, wipe us out, but for sure, wipe out persons of power because they're doing a terrible job at being in charge. What more could aliens screw it up? How could they screw anything up? If they've got the technology to travel here, why would they? First of all, what do we have to offer that they need?
Wish you'd come fix my knees.
I mean, what benefit do we give to each other? Do we give them something that we're not aware of? Are we food? Like, what do we offer them? If they've got the technology to travel all over the place. Some people think that aliens are time travelers and it's us coming back to visit us and stop things from getting worse or tell us how to make things better. Things like that. So we could keep 6 feet away. Oh, let's see. From what it said in Chernobyl miniseries, you can get sick from being around someone that has high radiation levels. That's what I thought, yeah. It would depend on how much radiation, of course. If they took enough of a dose and didn't take a decontamination shower. Oh, yeah. I'm sure they could. Nurses kept warning a woman to not go near her husband. She kept going near him, and her baby she was carrying died. Keep 6 feet away. Hey, that's a good rule all the time. Aliens see humans as morons. I'm sure they do. We have gold. Psh. So? They can just take whatever gold they want. They can come in our house and take whatever they want when we were sleeping. They really don't need us for anything, so that's what I'm saying. Like, what do we offer aliens besides being food that they would need? Nature Reserve Planet and the aliens we see are like the DNR.
They need salt.
They need salt. There's an alien race that needs gold for their atmosphere. Well, they have at it. I'm sure there's areas here that no one's touched at all. There's a whole theory, too, that there's something down in the ocean. Have you guys been exploring that theory lately? So we had 3 ocean fires, but then we had 2 enormous explosions that there was no explanation for in the ocean. And then there's the footage of the megalodon tooth that's up. Like, divers found the megalodon tooth. Have you guys seen that? And the theory is that there's not one roaming around, but that because it was so long ago, it's literally at the bottom of the ocean. So what is at the bottom of the ocean that's bringing up stuff from the bottom of the ocean? I mean, I'm sure an explosion like that probably helped. But how strong is an explosion like that? Like, what was the explosion you could see at the top of the water? So what I'm wondering is how far down does an explosion reach if you see it that high up?
Is it like a volcano or something?
No, it was a bomb. I'll have to look it up. I'll have to show you later, but
It's an old something from like World War II.
No. No. It's literally in the middle of the ocean.
Because they found one in a nearby lake that was like a training bomb. It wasn't live or anything. Last year.
Now, there are a number of underwater UFOs that have been sighted. Really? Yeah, how do you have an ocean fire? Oil. And there were literally boats driving in a circle around the fire, putting water on the ocean fire.
Oil, black gold. Dun, dun, dun.
Oil. The modern man's dumbest friggin' thing that they need to stop using. Contributing to the destruction of our planet. It's awesome. Literally, Element, you can look it up on any source, the ocean fires. Anything that's mainstream news isn't going to tell you anything about anything. If any aliens are here, then they would have the base underwater for sure, and the megalodon tooth could have been brought up from any random quake or explosion or volcano even. Underwater nature reserve. If we're a nature reserve, we're like a neglected, dilapidated one that needs to be cleaned up. So maybe that's why they're here. Like, Methane pockets are actually more common to cause that problem in the ocean. Huh.
I think they're here for Chick-fil-A.
No. Aliens wouldn't approve of their exclusion factor.
But it's so good.
That's the devil's chicken right there. Chick-fil-A is the devil's chicken. And ironically, they're not open on Sundays. So they can go and preach their homophobic rants. Anyways, number 15, which is the last one of the Chernobyl stories. Chernobyl HIV. Rumors have spread that Chernobyl survivors and their families have some kind of contagious illness, Chernobyl HIV, that can be spread to others. That's probably radiation. Anyways, according to former Congressman... Okay, first of all, Congressman is not a doctor, so shh. Glenn Browder, who wrote about his visit to the area in a blog for Huffington Post, real legit source. This stigma impacts the local economy as companies are less inclined to invest in affected areas. The fake claims, he explains, contributes to the isolation of those who have already been through something horrible. He notes the tragedy now affects 3 generations, with the latest being the grandchildren of Chernobyl. Although this term isn't a new concept, reports dating back to 1990 referred to Chernobyl AIDS, or the increase in immune deficiency diseases in the meltdown's wake. I've never heard of that before. That's ridiculous. Redonkulous. Aliens love to mess with nature regardless. We're just a huge, petri dish out here, aren't we? That explains our pool right now.
It's like a big Barbie house to them.
We're a Barbie house. That's why they freeze people, come in your house, mess around with you, and then, you don't know what happened. But really, they were just, changing your clothes, making your hair all weird, and drawn on your face while you were asleep. All right. Let's see. We're going to go to numerous people disappeared in Vermont's Bennington Triangle, and no one knows why. Yeah. I've never heard of Vermont's Bennington Triangle. Has anybody heard of this before? You can let me know if you've heard of it or not. Sorry, I yawned right into the microphone, so you're welcome. You're on with Touches Dark. Oh, I could never be a late night DJ because I would definitely yawn into the microphone the whole time. Smooth jazz. People would be falling asleep while they were driving home. I'm sorry. The music was probably on repeat for 30 minutes. I fell asleep there. Sorry about that.
Music put me to sleep just as fast as it did you.
I'm drinking coffee 4 o'clock in the morning. I haven't slept in 14 days.
Oh,
Hey. All right, let's see here. All right, so the verdant stretch of woodlands around Glastonbury Mountain in Vermont is deceptively serene. I'm so sorry. The area boasts legends about dangerous creatures, reports of strange floating lights, and stories involving people who disappeared without a trace. These baffling disappearances are inexplicable sightings inspired folklorist Joseph Citro to name it the Bennington Triangle, borrowing it from the Bermuda Triangle, another epicenter of mass disappearances and weird phenomena. The Bennington Triangle, which enters the mountain and includes the city of Bennington and the ghost towns of Glastonbury and Somerset, is known for 5 disappearances that took place from 1945 to 1950. And of those 5 people, authorities recovered the body of just 1. People have suggested numerous explanations for the disappearances and other strange goings-on that have cemented Bennington's reputation for the bizarre. One theory holds an escaped murderer killed the missing people. Others claim reality in the Bennington Triangle is a little unstable. Whatever the cause, if you're planning a hiking trip to southern Vermont, be on the lookout and don't wear red. I've never heard of this before, ever. So this is weird. Duchess After Dark. Let's get really weird. If I was allowed to not have a scripted, like, outlined agenda for our talk, I could rattle on about anything that popped in my head for hours. I really could. That's how I wrote all my papers in college. I needed no sources. All I needed to know was what was our topic, what did you need from me, and go. I already knew the material. I would just type and keep checking my word count. And then I'd go and find sources and cite afterwards because I didn't use anything from anything. I just rattled on about the subject. It's like the Alaska Triangle or the Devil's Triangle or the Bermuda Triangle. Then the stories should be good. Let's see. All right. So the first one is a college student that disappeared just 100 yards from her fellow hikers. The most famous Bennington Triangle disappearance is 18-year-old Paula Weldon, a student at Bennington College. So on December 1st, 1946, Weldon took a short hike on the long trail in the woods near Glastonbury Mountain. Apparently, she didn't leave dressed for the colder weather expected that night, so it was unlikely she intended to stay out late. The last people to see her were an elderly couple hiking about 100 yards behind her. The couple reported seeing Weldon turn a corner on the trail ahead. But once they reached the same spot, she was nowhere in sight. Local police organized a thorough search of the area and offered a $5,000 reward for her return. But no one saw her again. Given her choice of clothing, Weldon's disappearance seems even more baffling. She had worn a bright red jacket, so it should have been very easy for the couple to see where she had gone, or for a search party to recover her body. So that's it. That's where that ends. They don't say how long they looked for her, nothing. So it's pretty vague. I'll hike and off-road in Vermont, and I'll just bring my shotgun and swords and an EVP recorder. And then you're going to slip into another reality, and you're not going to realize that you're in another reality, because that's how that works, right? A veteran vanished from a bus full of witnesses. James Tedford, a war veteran living in Bennington, took a bus trip to visit his family in 1949. He was one of 14 passengers on the last trip from the previous stop to Bennington, but vanished without anyone seeing a thing. When authorities questioned a few fellow passengers after his disappearance, they confirmed he boarded the bus on the last stop before Bennington, but when the bus reached its destination, Tedford didn't get off because he wasn't there. His luggage remained in the overhead compartment, and his timetable was discovered by lying open next to where he sat. The prevailing theories about Tedford's disappearance are he never got back on the bus in Bennington, or someone killed him before he could disembark. The first explanation, however, doesn't account for why his belongings remained, and why it's possible he was killed on the bus. None of the other passengers reported any suspicious or violent incidents. No one had posited a satisfactory explanation for how Tedford disappeared from a crowded bus without a single person noticing. Jeez. That's crazy. That's really crazy. Is this a glitch in the Matrix? I think anytime that the word triangle and an area are combined, I think it is. I mean, wouldn't you think that that's what the Bermuda Triangle is? It's kind of like a glitch in the Matrix. Because do you think that there's whole stories about that where people don't even know that they're missing, but they're missing. Abducted by Chulu. I'll slip into the color out of space. These remind me of the missing 401 stories, people disappearing into thin air. Yeah. Anyways, sorry. I'm going to get distracted. Moving on. Camper's body raised even more questions. So in 1950, Frida Langer was camping with relatives in the woods near Glastonbury Mountain when she and her cousin Herbert decided to take a short hike. A few hundred meters from their campsite, Langer fell in a small stream, soaking her clothes and shoes. She asked her cousin to wait while she went back to camp and changed into dry clothes. After a while, her cousin made the short trek back to the camp to ask if everything was all right. When Herbert arrived, he discovered Langer never made it back to the campsite. Somehow, in broad daylight and only a short hike from the camp, Langer inexplicably disappeared. Over the next couple of weeks, search parties combed the area around the campsite for any signs of her, but nothing was found. At first. Unlike with the other Bennington Triangle cases, researchers located Langer's body, but the discovery raised more questions than answers. Not only was her body so decomposed it was impossible to determine how she died, but it was discovered right in the middle of an area that had already been meticulously searched in the weeks following her disappearance. How Langer went missing in the middle of the day in an area familiar to her, and what happened in the several months between her disappearance and the discovery of her body, are questions that remain unexplained. Dang. That's weird. Now it's getting weird. Ooh. Dun dun dun. Element had a little glitch just happened to him. Squirrel. Yep. Okay, back to the story. Nothing was found of a hunter except his rifle cartridge. Okay, so then you didn't find the hunter, right? Yeah. Okay, so 1945, a man named Middle Rivers led a hunting party in the woods near the city of Glastonbury. And on the way back to camp, Rivers broke from the others and disappeared from view. His companions had no reason to worry. Rivers, a skilled woodsman, wasn't far ahead, so they assumed he'd catch up eventually. He never did. After a long, thorough search of the area, the only thing anyone found of Rivers was a rifle cartridge of the same type he used. No one discovered evidence of an animal attack, and his body was never recovered. Weird. Dun dun dun. Yeah, same things. Why do people continue to travel through these triangles? Well, to be fair, this was a long time ago, so I don't know if anybody travels through here. I would be curious to know modern times if anyone's went missing. Area is searched, then a body is found, or the missing person's belongings. Yeah. Missing 411 stories are really hard to come by that don't end up reading like a script to a documentary. So if you find any Gling or Element, if you find any glitch in the Matrix stories that you want me to read, please email me. Send me a message on Twitter or Instagram or something like that if you want. But sometimes those stories are hard to find where they're actually decent to read or they're difficult to piece together. So, all right, back to the thing. This one is a little boy went missing from his mother's car. 8-year-old Paul Jepson's mother was a caretaker at the dump in the woods near Bennington. On Columbus Day in 1950, Paul's mother brought him to the dump in the family truck. She left the vehicle to attend her chores and asked Paul to stay put until she returned. And when she did, he was gone. Like Paula Weldon, Paul wore a bright red jacket. But despite such easily visible clothing, no one recovered his body. Police dogs followed his scent for a few miles in the direction of Glastonbury Mountain until it, like the boy, vanished. According to local folklore in the area near the forest where Paul and Weldon disappeared, it's bad luck to wear red. Apparently. I mean, that's a terrible way to end that one. Let's see. That one scientist guy said the Bermuda Triangle is fake. What's his name? Is he a legitimate scientist? What are his credentials? That's another thing too. When someone starts to talk about anything medical, scientific, paranormal, I want to know what their credentials are. And I actually want to hear them speak on the subject because I feel like you get a real sense of their level of, I don't want to say sanity because that's not fair because I think that's a different category and I think that's misused and I don't think anyone's truly sane because we live in a very stressful time. I think everyone's lost it a little bit. That considered, I want to know someone's credentials when they start spouting off about things that are unexplained and suddenly they have an explanation for it. So, just saying. An Algonquin legend warns Glastonbury Mountain is cursed. Okay. Even before people began disappearing in Bennington around the surrounding woods, the area's original inhabitants remained wary of the eventual Bennington Triangle area. Several tribes avoided the place, maintaining it was cursed. One Algonquin legend warned of a malevolent enchanted stone in the mountains that would open up and devour anyone unlucky enough to step on it. Mountaineers and hunters who take trips to Glastonbury today report wind patterns in the Bennington Triangle are usually chaotic and confusing. So the natural markers most hikers use to stay oriented don't exist. These eerie wind patterns provide reason enough for the area's reputation of being difficult to navigate. Whether it's a natural feature or an ancient curse remains in the air. Yeah, exactly. Neil deGrasse Tyson. He's great. But I don't think he knows everything. Because no one does. Just saying. I think he's great at science. I don't know that someone who is versed in scientific explanations for science alone should be trying to explain paranormal activity or paranormal phenomena. What?
Just every time I hear science, I want to go, science!
Every time I wake up and see my hair, I think, she blinded me with science. I feel like I want to invent something or make an equation on a chalkboard. But I don't know what I'm doing. All right. Sightings of a monster plagued Bennington before people went missing. So 5 disappearances from 1945 to 1950 aren't the Bennington Triangle's only mysteries. Since at least the mid-1800s, people reported seeing a tall Sasquatch-like creature lurking in the woods. The first report of this beast came from the driver and passengers of a stagecoach passing between Bennington and the city of Glastonbury. When a sudden downpour forced the stagecoach to pull over, the passengers encountered a large, hairy, barefoot creature that pushed the coach over before disappearing into the forest. In 1943, Carl Herrick went missing during a hunting trip roughly 10 miles northeast of the city of Glastonbury. He was discovered 3 days later, squeezed to death and surrounded by huge, mysterious footprints. Oh, he just wanted a hug, buddy. He just wanted a hug. I think that when it comes to anything, you can have experts in their field. But it's the same as like, what's the rule? You don't get tacos at a fish place and vice versa.
Unless they're fish tacos.
Unless it's fish tacos, like.
But gross.
Gross.
How you messing the taco like that?
I agree with Tyson, but also disagree with him. Not everything has explanations. Right. I think there's way too much information. So like, when you have a baby, who doesn't have any kids, if you ever don't, then you won't get this. It'll be about anything though, that you're in this new category of life or ownership of something, a house, a car even. Suddenly everyone gives you advice on how to take care of baby, house, car. Some of them have great advice. Some of them have horrible advice, but most 99.9% of it is unsolicited and is subject to interpretation and can be absolutely bonkers. So when it comes to something as big as the Bermuda Triangle, I don't think one person can explain away decades and decades and decades and decades of people's experiences with the area. And I think there's way too much to it. It would be great if we had actual like research done on it. I think there probably has been, but it's not been prevalent enough for it to be common knowledge anyway. So, yeah, anything and everything is possible. Right. Okay. I'm just reading the chat. Sorry. Squirrel. The Bennington Triangle might have housed a reclusive murderer. Of course. Why was that not plausible? Henry Mcdowell, a sawmill worker in a village close to Glastonbury, murdered one of his coworkers in 1892 by beating his head in with a rock. When authorities apprehended McDowell, he claimed strange voices commanded him to commit the murder, which landed him in the Vermont State Asylum. We all know what asylums are for. They're not good. McDowell never served his full sentence, however. He escaped by stowing away in a rail car and allegedly lived the rest of his life in the Bennington woods. McDowell would have been elderly by the time the 5 disappearances occurred in the 40s and 50s. Still, some theorized the mysterious disappearances were the work of a crafty, secretive, and exceptionally long-lived serial killer. I mean, it is possible there was another person that just lived in the woods and killed people.
I thought he moved to Queens and opened a hamburger joint.
Ew. Gross. Where'd you get your sausages? I got them from somewhere. I don't know. Ew. Gross. All right. An UFO or flying silo was reported in the area decades later. Like other areas famous for weird phenomena. Another yawn. I'm sorry. Okay. The Bennington Triangle has had its share of UFO sightings. Residents of the Bennington area have reported seeing floating lights and strange columnar craft that resemble glowing silos. In 1984, Don Pratt reported one such craft, described it as a flying silo. Oh my God, I'm so sorry. And hikers in the woods near Bennington provided similar descriptions. Given the strange circumstances surrounding the 5 Bennington Triangle disappearances of the 40s and 50s, some believe extraterrestrial kidnappers are to blame. I mean, yeah. Turtle. Made me that man, I swear, your honor. The squirrel made me kill that man. Oh, God. Ever see The Master of Disguise? Yes! The super dumb movie, but the Turtle Club with the scene cracks me up and he goes, turtle, turtle. Did you ever see that Master of Disguise?
I haven't seen it.
With Dana Carvey. That's an oldie but a goodie. Yeah. It's so bad it's good. Yeah. Then the Bermuda Triangle is a Jean Michael Jar. Is it Jean Michel Jar? I'm probably saying that name wrong. Magnetic fields. Yeah, I think that there's explanations. However, how do we explain why there would be such strong magnetic fields that it literally makes people disappear? Or maybe it just confuses people so much. I don't know. Can you dislocate an entire area because of magnetic field? I don't know. We're getting into physics here and a whole nother area and squirrel. This is the last part of this group of stories, so let me get through this first before we go off on a tangent here. According to one theory, reality is unreliable in the Bennington Triangle, which I think that's exactly what I was just saying, though. Anyways, the Bennington Triangle inspired stories of woodland monsters, curses, and other inexplicable phenomena even before the area was colonized. What could cause such an intense concentration of mysterious sightings and events? John A. Keel, author of the Mothman Prophecies, which is weird that came up again in 2 different stories, proposed a theory. In places like Bennington Triangle, the boundary between our universe or dimension and others is unusually thin, leading to a disproportionately high number of reported paranormal phenomena. According to Keel, in these places, which he referred to as window areas, physical reality is less concrete. Though the window area theory is impossible to prove, it would simultaneously explain the strange creatures, mysterious lights in the sky, and the missing Bennington residents. But yeah, that's exactly what I was leading into when I interrupted myself, is the fact that the magnetic fields could cause mild confusion or even a window into a veil of another dimension, as other people say it, or a glitch in the matrix. So it kind of all ties in together. Let's see. 10 facts about Colma, California, aka the city of the dead. I don't think I've ever heard anything about this either, but I mean, if I have, I'm not aware of it. And I'll link any of these when the stream's over. I'll link them below when it's over in case anybody wants to look at this more. Because the Chernobyl stories have some pictures involved, and I don't know if someone wants to go back and look at those. Especially if you're watching this like tomorrow or the next day or something like that. Let's see. So Colma, California has an interesting distinction. It's a cemetery city made for dead San Franciscans. This city of dead emerged when the land had previously been reserved for burials became increasingly valuable in the Golden Gate City, and as a result, further burials there were banned. This silent city has 1,000 times more dead inhabitants than living, and hundreds of thousands of corpses were even moved to the city after being evicted from their San Francisco resting places. That's gross. Cemeteries in Colma are now home to some of the most famous names in American history, as well as tens of thousands of people who have been lost to its mass graves. This city owes its existence to the timeless problem faced by San Francisco, the need for space. Even longtime living residents of the city are being slowly driven out of their homes by dead interlopers looking to displace them. Yet Colma remains the highly sought-after destination for the San Francisco's most well-regarded corpses. Okay. Nice. Research the Philadelphia experiment deals with the Navy trying to essentially make a ship invisible, but it was said they teleported or warped during it. Deals with magnetic fields and other physics. Have you watched? It was George Clooney, and it was it Staring at Goats? It told the story about how the military used to have a division that literally was trying to develop, enhance, and utilize telekinesis and telelocation. And it's fascinating. They shut the department down, but there were literal people that did this for our federal government. Did you know that? Mm-hmm. Yeah. Can you imagine if they had actually kept going with it? I mean, of course, with anything that's, breaking ground, you're going to have some weird issues at some point. But what's weird is they don't shut down other things when it comes to like a mistake someone makes or because it becomes too dangerous. So why would you shut down something that could have been so beneficial had you harnessed it correctly? I don't know. I could just go on and on about that. Yeah, you heard about that too. It's so weird when you talk to the screen, but I know that you guys are chatting back, but Men Who Stare at Goats, yeah. Yeah, it was really funny. Oh, that's funny. It's showing up on the skull screen now instead of the side chat. I don't know. It kind of has a mind of its own. It's doing whatever it wants to. All right. The first part of this is fact number 1. I'm not going to go through. There's 10 of them. The first one here is there's 17 cemeteries in Colma. Oh, excuse me. Okay. Most American suburbs are best known for their outlet malls, Walmarts, multiple Denny's locations, but Colma is famous for something far different. 17 cemeteries. In the 1920s, San Francisco's retired residents were moved there as the city continued to grow into the sprawling metropolis it is today. Okay, that fact was stated when I read the intro to the entire article. Anyway, fact number 2, the city has 1,000 times more dead than living. Okay, we just went over that too. While the U.S. suburbs are made up of well-organized subdivisions and manicured lawns mandated by city ordinances and the social pressure of keeping up with the Joneses, Colma abides by a different kind of city planning. The city of 1600 is home to over 1.5 million graves. 1.5 million. Since the initial relocation of 150,000 graves beginning in the early 1900s, the town's graveyards have grown at a pace far exceeding that of its living population. There are tens of thousands of people buried in mass graves. Several of Colma's graveyards are home to mass graves that contain tens of thousands of people who were relocated from their San Francisco resting places. Though the city would ultimately pay to have anyone buried in its cemeteries moved to Colma, unless families paid $10 to have their loved ones moved, their bodies would end up being reburied in a mass grave. Oh my gosh.
Terrible.
That's disgusting. The Holy Cross Cemetery has a marker on it that says 39,307 Catholics are buried there, while a marker at the Cypress Lawn Graveyard memorializes over 30,000 bodies in a mass grave there as well. Wow. That's some audacity. You got $10? You got $10? They're in a hole over there. Wow. That's crazy. Because humans are effing stupid. 1.5 million is a lot, but nothing in comparison to the catacombs in France. Okay, were you here last night, Tank? What was the one that I read? It was the catacombs. It was Creepy Places, but it was catacombs in the Ukraine. And it's 3 levels. I have to go back and look at it, but do you guys remember where that was? Because it wasn't in France, it was somewhere else, and it's bigger than the one in France. It's crazy. I didn't even know. And yeah, I would love to know more about the catacombs, so we need to do stories of that. I should have been taking notes. I'll have to go back and listen to this and write down everything. Public health concerns led to mass reinternments. So San Francisco was a growing and booming metropolis as the turn of the 20th century. Unfortunately, it was also a tinderbox of wood structures tightly packed together, just waiting for a disaster to hit. Then, when the massive 1906 earthquake rocked the city, its cemeteries quickly filled up, and the concentration of dead bodies in San Francisco cemeteries led to public health concerns. The solution was to move the dead from their San Francisco resting places in the city to Colma. And as a result, the largest relocation of graves in history took place nearly 20 years. I mean, at that point, I would just ask for my relatives to be cremated. So at least you could have the remains.
Yeah.
Like, what the fuck? Why didn't they just cremate them? Why would you move them all?
Well, then you can have them at your house, and you can spread a little bit somewhere where they wished.
That one needs to get out of here. That's like having Voldemort in my house. Anyways, I'll skip over that so I don't relive personal information. Okay. No, it glitched out on me last night. Aww. Bummer. Alright, moving the bodies to Colma was a challenge. Yeah, again, why didn't they just cremate them? I'm really confused why you would go to all this elaborate. And the picture here shows that they're doing this by horse and buggy. Horse and buggy. Like, you didn't think cremating them was a smarter idea? Wow. Anybody who doesn't believe in evolution should just, like, do the math on this scenario and realize that we have definitely gotten a little smarter since then. Dang. In order to transport the bodies efficiently, the city decided that they should be moved to Colma the same day that they were exhumed. Some of the dead were even moved in the same caskets that they were buried in, but if the caskets hadn't weathered the elements very well, then the remains would be put into boxes. Catholic priests were present at every exhumation at Calvary Cemetery, but 55,000 Catholic bodies ended up in a mass grave site in Colma. While San Francisco paid for the bodies to be moved, tombstones were left behind if no loved ones came forward to pay the cost of moving them. Like, seriously, you already have to pay for that. You pay for the funeral, the casket, the headstone, the plot, and you want them to pay more money? No. Many gravestones were left behind. Okay, so in 1900, every body was removed. Cemeteries were banned, but that doesn't mean that their grave markers were always went with them. They're just repeating the information in the story, and it's really annoying. And I'm really sorry. I'm so sorry that I didn't look at those before and notice it. Some abandoned gravestones were reused to create gutters in the city. How dare you! Or to reinforce sea barriers to keep the San Francisco Bay at bay? Wow, that's some sheer audacity right there, isn't it?
Dead seawall.
Wow. Dang, that's cruel. Some dead bodies were accidentally left behind and discovered during construction projects. Poltergeist. Over 155,000 bodies ended up being moved from San Francisco to Colma. Again, we already have this information, but some of them didn't make the trip. Construction crews can't manage to dig a hole in the University of San Francisco's campus without stumbling upon human remains. Perhaps more unsettling were the discoveries made at the Legion of Honor when crews laid plumbing pipes and disturbed grave sites in the 1920s. Workers sometimes even threw bones into the ocean when they were in the path of their work. Wow. Wow. Like it's a stick.
Should just backfill with it. Backfill the rest of the pipe.
Wow. Gross.
That's what I would have done.
Nasty. Is this still working? No, I'm constantly worried that it's gonna go out. Okay. Oh, see, it's okay. I've heard about the 1906 earthquake. That shit was huge, bad. Yeah. Famous neuroscience patient Phineas Gage is buried there. His skull has like a big crack on the front of it. In 1848, a railroad worker named Phineas Gage was packing some black powder into a hole with a metal rod. Suddenly, the reactive powder blew up, sending the metal rod through the left side of Gage's face and out the back of his head, miraculously not killing him. Gage quickly gained notoriety after doctors learned that his personality had changed as a result of his injury. He became the first patient to lead neurologists to identify the connection between brain injuries and changes in behavior and personality traits. Gage later died in 1860 due to seizures and was buried in one of Colma's cemeteries. Well, that's quite a jump, but that was interesting. Cemetery economics resulted in San Francisco's burial grounds falling into disrepair. Cemeteries rely on expanding and selling new burial plots in order to stay solvent. So, when the city banned the creation of new grave sites in 1900, funeral grounds could no longer rely on this income to pay for their upkeep. I think the city should have paid for that, since they made those people pay twice to have their people buried. This led to macabre scenes in the cemeteries as looters stole skeletons and hedonists held orgies, and there was no money to pay security guards to keep them out. There were even accounts of soccer games being played with human skulls. A public outcry about the state of the city's cemeteries led to the graveyards being moved to Colma. Wow. That's terrible. Can you imagine that? You're going to go put flowers on your grandma's gravesite. Hey, isn't that grandma's head? Gross. Oh my God. Somewhere in the foundations, I bet. Oh, I'm sure. Coleman cemeteries have some famous tombstones, including Wyatt Earp and pants pioneer Levi Strauss, both buried there, joined by the newspaper giant William Randolph Hearst, railroad owner. I'm having a hard time with my R's today. Railroad owner Charles Crocker can also be found under a gravestone in the city. The Emperor of the United States and Protector of Mexico is buried there. In the 1850s, a land speculator named Joshua Norton lost all his wealth when land prices crashed. Possibly in a fit of insanity, he declared himself to be Norton I, Emperor of the United States and Protector of Mexico. Norton wrote decrees that were published in newspapers and was even outfitted with a uniform by the U.S. Army. He became a local icon and was given free tickets to the opening nights of films and could be seen frequenting popular San Francisco night spots. When he died in 1880, he was buried in San Francisco but ended up being moved along with tens of thousands of others to Colma, where his gravestone reading, Norton I, Emperor of the United States and Protector of Mexico, can still be found today. So he just declared himself that, and everyone's like, yeah, just go along with it. I'm going to declare myself Emperor of Potato Chips and just wear a potato sack around and a crown. That sounds awesome. Skull Sucker sounds like they were back in Mayan times. I know. Crazy. Land value issues led to Colma being San Francisco's cemetery city. So originally the dead were buried on the western side of San Francisco, and the first residents of the city assumed that nobody would ever want to live there. But as the city attracted more citizens, the land became higher in demand. Cemetery locations made it difficult to navigate the city for streetcars, and eventually the value of the property they sat on led to solution of banning future cemeteries and relocating the existing grave sites. You could start a ghoulish baseball team with the players buried there. I mean, why would you say that? Ranker? I'm going to stay away from Ranker from now on with their terrible, terrible writing. At least I hope these people are paying their rent with these. Anyway, San Francisco has a rich baseball history from the Seals of the Giants. Not all these players represented their city on the field, but they are buried in Colma. From Joe DiMaggio to George Kelly, Dolph Camilli, Bill Lang, Frankie the Crow, Cressetti, Hank Sauer, and Lefty O'Doul, Colma is the final resting place of MVPs and role players alike. There are only 4 cemeteries remaining in San Francisco. The city by the bay didn't move every dead body out of its borders. There's still 4 places of rest. Let's see. The Columbarium, a beautiful cemetery filled with late Victorian grave markers. A veterans cemetery in Presidio, and another in Mission Dolores. Or is it Dolores? I don't know. The 4th is strange in its own right and is where the city's pets are laid to rest. It lays near a former military base and may have started as a burial ground for cavalry horses or guard dogs, and now every type of pet from lizards and hamsters to dogs and cats can be found there. Ooh, the last one. Thank goodness, because these are terrible. Mars would be fun to live on. Phantom. I'm moving to Mars. Out of nowhere. No one. Phantom. I'm moving to Mars. Everyone. Sounds fun. Literally has not said anything in a long time. Just says I'm moving to Mars. Wait a minute. Phantom. Blink twice if you're Bezos. Also, if you're Bezos, you better be donating to that super chat, you turd. If you're not Bezos, then it's fine. All right. City's fame led to an interesting slogan. So the morbid notoriety of having 1,000 times more dead residents than living ones has inspired Colma to invent its own creative slogan. The city council officially gave the town the slogan of "It's great to be alive in Colma." Wow. Citizens have also adopted nicknames about its strange fame, like of City of Souls and City of the Silent. I hope they don't pay taxes to live there. It's ridiculous. Oh, yeah, we started at 8, so we're like slowing down now. Trying to, got a couple more here. Actually, I've got one more group of stories here. I'm trying to copy the link so I can go to the thing for you guys. If I can get to it. There we go. Copy and paste. What's the face for cats? There might be a delay in what you're hearing or reacting to, so I don't know what you're reacting to. I've got a Let's see. 11 people share their most bizarre experience that they never found an explanation for. We'll see. We'll see. It's like when they put the word creepy in a story. Oh, all right. So this one starts out strong. Maybe I should have came to BuzzFeed first, eh? The first one's titled, That's Not Your Mom. When I was about 8 years old, I woke up in the middle of the night feeling really uncomfortable, and I just couldn't figure out why. It was this weird cold feeling in my bones, but I just thought I was sick. Then I heard weird noises coming from the living room, so I looked and saw my mom's knitting supplies falling from the table one by one, and a figure standing in the middle of the room. It was pretty dark, but for some reason I thought the figure was my mom. I called out for her, but I just felt the figure staring at me for a moment before it began walking away. Still thinking it was my mom, I followed it into our kitchen. The figure was sitting down, so I sat down next to it, only to immediately realize it wasn't my mom. The figure vanished, and I was left there alone. I wasn't so scared that I couldn't move. I was so scared that I couldn't move, and my parents found me crying in the kitchen, and it still gives me chills. Wow. Wow. Oh, just the joy of Phantom moving to Mars. I was making coffee. What? That's not your mom. Yeah, like right away. Finally. How many articles did I have to read to get to some creepy stories? Dang. It's hard to find. Like, I'm a fan of dark comedy, but I'm not a fan of getting trolled by the titles of articles, man. Wow.
You've been trolled.
Yeah, I've been trolled a lot by articles. That's for sure. The Curious Shadow. How many are there? There's 11 of these. This is number 2. I was trying to fall asleep when I saw what looked like the headlights of a car track across the wall opposite my room's window. Excuse me, I'm so sorry. The light moved from one side of the wall to the other, but instead of disappearing as if the car had passed, it remained there, revealing the silhouette of a person. Yikes. I froze and stared at it for a while, waiting for it to go away. Eventually I got up the courage to look out of the window, but there was nothing there that could cast that kind of shadow. I turned back, and the silhouette was still there. I just lay there trying to figure out, for several minutes, what it was. And then I heard what sounded like a car approaching again, and its headlights swept across my wall again, same as before. Only this time the silhouette and remaining light disappeared. It was very disturbing and strange. Oh, yeah. Yeah. That's not your mom. It's the Boogaloo. Come get your soul. My language is Ukas. I'm lost. Way over my... Oh, Cass? Is that something you know?
No, that's how I read it.
Oh. Okay. Number 3. What did the baby see? My little brother was just learning how to crawl, and we lived in a one-story house that had a long hallway from the rooms to the kitchen. My brother was in my parents' room with the door open, and they were all watching TV. When he decided to crawl off to the kitchen, I chased after him, and as I picked him up, he was giggling. But when I started walking toward the hallway, he stopped, put on the straightest face I'd ever seen, and death stared at something behind me. I was terrified by his reaction, but didn't turn around. I just booked it to my parents' room. Oh my God. That's like when Trixie does that in the kitchen, and you think that there's someone in the doorway, and I'd literally get up and look. Yeah. Hey, Lipstick Lisa. Hey. You must live near a bridge, Duchess. That'll explain why you get trolled so bad by stories you look for. I don't know, but dang, it's annoying to read for this long and then finally stumble onto something that I wasn't even going to read this because I thought, oh, these probably are going to suck. Because every time you go on BuzzFeed, it's like 2 lines. Well, this is actually decent, so thanks, man. Thank you. Decent. Number 4, the empty room whistler. I teach at a super old school that was built in the 50s. Okay, first of all, super old because it was built in the 50s. Super old. You know, anything needs to be 100 years or more older for you to be saying it was super old. Moving on. Anyway, I was in my classroom really late one night finishing up paperwork, and the doors connecting my room to my neighbor's classroom were open. I was whistling when I stopped in the middle of a well-known song, Ride of the Valkyries, to take a drink. Someone or something finished whistling the song for me. It sounded like it came from the room next door, but nobody else was in that part of the building. I got out of there fast and avoided being in my neighbor's room by myself from then on. I found out later in the year that the night custodian does my side of the building first because my neighbor's room creeps him out, and he wants to finish it before it gets dark. Yikes. I'll just start whistling something else and then stop in the middle of it and see if they finish that one. At least go through it twice so that you can get a recording of it, because that's just cool. Cats, oh, the magnificent sights. Oh. Umlaut. I guess O is pronounced a bit like
Unkas.
Unkas. Like, Kiek, I'm der Cook. Did I say that right? Kiek, I'm der Cook. My mom's home is over 110 years old. Now that's super old, yeah. Where's that area? There's a whole entire area where the structures are dated like 10 AD. Yeah. Like, yeah, that's super old to me. But that's when they knew how to build something that's still standing. Anyways, this one is number 5, the mysterious helpful voice. Oh no. I must have thought of someone yawning, and that's okay. Anyway, I worked a night shift when I was 18, and one night I was driving home at around 3 a.m. I stopped at the red light at a dark T intersection in a rural area. Just as the light turned green, I heard a very loud voice say, "Don't go." I didn't so much hear the voice, but I felt it in every fiber of my being. It was the loudest thing I ever heard. And as I was trying to figure out what I just heard or felt, I stayed at the light. And suddenly a car with no headlights on shot through the intersection at an extremely high speed. And if I had pulled out, that car would have T-boned me and possibly killed myself and whoever was driving. 15 years later, it still gives me chills to think about it. Oh yeah, that's friggin' scary. Her house even has a coffin room. Whose house? Oh, your mom's house has a coffin room? Yeah, because people didn't always just go to a morgue, and if you knew someone was dying, you had the funeral at home. They didn't not everybody used to go to a funeral home. But yeah, coffin room. Is it a really big house or is it just really old? Or both? I'm so fascinated. Anyway, I'll get back to that. Number 6, the smiling woman by the tub. So when I was 6, my family took a vacation to the Hotel del Coronado in California. During the trip, I came down with chicken pox, and my mom had to soak me in the bathtub to try to relieve the itching. Room service came to the door to deliver lunch, so my mom went to go get it, and while I was in the tub, a woman came and sat with me. She didn't speak. She just smiled at me. My mom called me over to eat, and I said goodbye to the woman. My mom asked me who I said goodbye to, and I told her the nice woman in the white dress who came to watch me when she left. We always chalked it up to hallucinations from the chicken pox, but I saw a special on the Travel Channel about haunted hotels, and the Hotel del Coronado was on it, and now I believe the woman I saw was Kate Morgan. Whoa. That's kind of cool. Vulnerable is a really hard word for me to say, but I just thought that O may sound like the un part of that word. Can you imagine being in your car and a voice speaks to you, next to you? 2-story tall, approximately 1,400 square feet, as well as a dirt floor basement. If anybody's been in a dirt floor basement of an older home and felt like it wasn't creepy, did you feel like it was creepy?
I was too busy.
Okay. If you weren't busy.
No, there's only one house I ever felt creepy in.
What house was that?
It was in Corona.
Corona. What?
It was
Why?
an old house. It just felt like somebody was behind me the whole time.
In the basement or anywhere in the house?
Everywhere.
Really?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I feel like if a place has a presence like that, it's everywhere in the house.
I mean, it wasn't.
I mean, some
wasn't
people
mean or
experience
bothering
phenomenon
me or
in
do
specific
anything,
areas, but
felt like something was there.
yeah, you can feel it. I feel like people that can feel it in the whole
That's the
place.
only time I've ever felt that way.
Really?
Mm-hmm.
Interesting. Anyway, hearing an audible EVP next to you in the car, I would piss myself. That would suck. I think I'd piss myself when I sat at the green light and watched a car fly through the intersection with no headlights on would be far scarier than the voice. I mean, maybe to many it's the voice is scarier because it's unknown, but knowing that you could have just died. Like, how are you going to survive that? Most likely, if someone flies through an intersection and T-bones you, your chances of survival are pretty
I made it.
slim. Yeah, you got T-boned, didn't you?
Mm-hmm.
Yikes. Number 7. Good night, wake up. One time as a kid, I got in bed and lay down, but as soon as I closed my eyes, I saw a bright light. When I opened my eyes, it was morning. The sun was up. It was 9 a.m. And I felt like no time had gone by. But I was rested. My mom and dad were up and acting normal, and I never said anything because they would have just told me it was a dream. But I'm pretty sure I time traveled for a few hours. Yikes. Let's see. Number 8, I just saw you. I was driving home from work, turning left onto my street, and I passed my parents. I tried to get their attention, but had no luck. They were in our silver CRV. My dad was wearing his beanie as usual, and my mom was looking down at her phone. So I pulled into my driveway and called my mom to see where they were heading, and she said, "We're almost home. Why?" And I said, "But I just saw you drive past me. I saw your faces, the car, the license plate." I thought they were playing a joke on me, but they arrived to the house about 2 minutes after I got off the phone with them, and they had tons of groceries. And I can still picture my parents turning right in front of me in my head, and it still freaks me out. Yikes. Had a car with no headlights cross in front of me at an intersection with haste running a red light, but I was thankfully stopped. Yeah. Yikes. Number 9 says, come in. Let me say that again if you didn't understand Yanese. Number 9 is titled, Come In. So a few years ago, I was at my dad's house, and some of his friends were over sitting in the living room. At one point, I went to the bathroom, but I knocked first because we had guests. I heard the words, "Come in," whispered in a child's voice. I'm sorry, "Come in." But there were no other kids in the house besides me. It's also weird that I heard the words in English, but I'm Greek. I walked in and nobody else was in the bathroom. And the lights were on. And to this day, I still don't know what happened or why the heck I walked into a bathroom after a creepy voice told me to come in. Number 10. Someone walked into the room. What was that? YouTube does not update the text under the stream. It still says 9 watching now. Started streaming 10 minutes ago. Yeah, I don't think there's more than 9 people here, though. Unless you guys count more than 9, but... At one point there was 17, but I guess I'm too boring. Wah wah. Yawnies. Anyways, this says number 10. Someone walked into the room. When I was in high school, I had just gotten home and walked through the front door. As I entered, I saw someone walk from my sister's room into my room, so I yelled, "Whoever is in my room better get out right now." After a few minutes went by and nobody left my room, I decided to walk back there and investigate. There was nobody back there, so I was completely alone in the house. This really freaked me out because even now, over a dozen years later, I distinctly remember seeing a girl with a long brown ponytail, dark shorts, a white shirt, and white socks walk across the hallway. Oh, goodness. Haven't heard that since I last watched Scooby-Doo. Zoinks.
Like zoink Scoob.
Must be 10 p.m. for Dutch and she yawns. It's 5 a.m. for me. Oh, yeah. Yeah. Haven't heard that since... Who said zoinks? Oh, like zoinks, man. Oh my gosh. Imagine blinking and then it's the next day. I'd be so mad. I feel like that whenever I don't have a dream. Like, my husband rarely has a dream, but you had a dream last night, didn't you?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and that's rare for you. I always wake up with a crazy dream. For example,
They're crazy.
They are crazy dreams. Like, I used to nanny for this group of 5 boys, and I had there was only one child in my life at the time. So my child and these 5 other children had gotten into my current art supplies, my canvases, my empty canvases. They weren't like older like they are now. They were the age they were a long time ago. They got into all my canvases and they got into my packets of tuna fish and started making paintings with them and selling them online. Usually every night I have some crazy dream like that. It's so weird. Velma said jankies. Oh, yeah. I wish I need to write all my dreams down again like I was before. It's funny. Sometimes it's funny. Sometimes it's scary. I don't like when I have a bad dream, though, because it sticks with me all day. Because it's pretty real.
I wake up.
I usually wake up confused.
I wake up and then I have a bad dream an hour later.
Oh, because it's work. One time I had a dream that we won the lottery, and it was so real that when I woke up and realized, and it took a long time, it was like 20 minutes after I woke up and realized that we didn't win the lottery, I was so sad. I think that was like a year after we moved in here. And I was so sad that we didn't win the lottery. Because it was so realistic. Like, the relief that came with that dream win was, and then wake up to reality, it was so, like, heartbreaking. Like, money can buy happiness for friggin' sure. The relief that comes with it. Anyway, forbidden to touch my good art supplies. That would suck. To be fair, I don't drop large coin on any art supplies. I'm not like a famous artist, so if I ever am, then yeah, but no.
You can do a lot with a 2-inch brush.
You can. Bob Ross. This is the last one of the BuzzFeed article anyway. 11 is the out-of-body experience. In 2008, I was in a car accident that ended my life. I literally died. But the paramedics revived me. I was the passenger in my then boyfriend's truck when he pulled me out in front of someone else who was going about when he pulled out in front of someone who was going about 75 miles an hour. While I was gone, I distinctly remember watching myself from another point of view, getting into his truck, pulling out of his driveway, and driving down the street. That's 10 years ago, and I still remember every detail of what I saw. If I was dead, how could I have had that vision? I'm still shook to it by this day. Okay, first of all, weren't you reliving time? She wasn't seeing herself like being revived. She was reliving the moment.
Mm-hmm.
So, I think that's called your life flashing before your eyes. Like, literally. If you want to remember your dreams, you have to write down at least keywords. Right. Listen, some of my dreams are so crazy, I can't forget them. Literally. The tuna fish one's going to stick with me for a while because... But it also doesn't help that I recently reorganized the kitchen and just moved the tuna fish packets into like a crate.
Tell me the tuna fish one.
Yeah. Didn't you remember me telling you that?
No.
I told it to Emily and she thought it was hilarious. Seems like I had another one that was really funny recently too, and you were just dying laughing.
You have dreams about tuna fish.
Pack. It's because I had to move all those from the Lazy Susan over to that thing that's over against the wall now. There's like 20 of them, and they kept slipping through the bottom of the crate. So it was kind of like must have found a pocket in my brain where I decided like, yeah, my brain's gonna use this against me later. I don't know how. Hey Cameron, will you close the slider? Thank you. There's mosquitoes flying in here.
Don't move the mayonnaise.
Don't move the mayonnaise. Good and bad support art. Each have their benefits, but I have expensive size canvases I save for selling. Okay, so I saw this one girl on TikTok. She made art. She's like, I just did this as a joke. So she's like, she made art and she put it up on eBay and she put like the base price $300. She's like, I never thought anyone would buy it. She's like, so you can set your base price for what you want it for. So she set her base price and like she's like, I had people bidding in a bidding war on my art. She's like, and my art looks like a 5-year-old did it. It's like this messy forest that she like didn't take much time to. And what ended up happening is the person that won the bid wanted to send her the money in a suspicious way, and instead of like taking the legit offer that she didn't know was the only legit offer, she took the other one and she lost out. So she tried to relist it, and I can't remember which lady that was on TikTok, so I need to find her again. But she's like, so just make art and put it on eBay because there's probably someone who wants to buy it. So yeah.
Your art is the prettiest art of all arts.
Okay, so I'm going to put a notepad next to my bed again, and I guarantee you. Okay, so a long time ago I read, it was a person who was saying that you can get all your answers from your brain. So what you do is you request your brain to reveal this information to you while you're asleep. And you have to do this every night, like right before you're about to fall asleep. There's a specific wording to it. But for the first 2 weeks that you do this, your brain has like a dump of extra information, useless extra information for like 2 weeks. So you're going to have the craziest dreams ever. So I feel like I am stuck in that perpetual dumping phase of my brain because I have tons of useless information stored up in my brain, and I can never get to the goods that are useful bits of information to solve problems. Oh my goodness. I've made over 200 on a canvas as a joke and couldn't believe I got that much even. I'm so critical of my own work. I share some on my Twitter. Okay, I will check it out. Are you near Detroit, Tank? Because there is a Detroit artist. She's on TikTok and she makes these enormous, they're usually famous people that she paints, but each canvas is probably like 3 foot by the size of that. 3 foot by 3 foot. Do you think that's 3 foot high or 4 foot high? How tall do you think that?
The white thing?
Yeah.
It's about 3 foot.
Yeah. So all of her canvases, I think the smallest one is 3 by 3. But they're all amazing. I'll try to find her and send it to you, Tank, because she started out like she was broke and she needed to pay her rent, and she had some canvases, so she started painting, and then she started painting more and more and more and more, and she's really good. And then she started getting commissions for murals. So I'm pretty sure that some of her artwork is all over downtown Detroit right now. So yeah, be curious because I think she's had her first showing, which would be really interesting to see. 3 foot by 4 foot. I so one day I found these two enormous canvases at Goodwill. One is probably what, like 2 foot by 2 foot, and the other one is probably 2 foot by 5 foot. It's probably as tall as me.
Bigger than that.
It might be taller than me.
It's probably 5 foot, but it's wider than that.
Yeah. No, it's not wider than 5 feet.
Taller. It's about 5 foot wide. It's probably
Not 5 foot wide. It's probably like 3 foot wide, but it's definitely as taller than I am. I found it at Goodwill for $8, and the painting itself is ugly. It's like a plain gray blue. There's nothing really on it. But I thought, holy crap, I can paint over this and make the coolest, enormous painting. But I bought it without my husband being there because I thought my dimensions in my head thought it could fit in the car. And for some reason that day, it was super windy that day. Do you remember that? Mm-hmm. It was so windy that thing almost flew out of my hands and flew right into the building. We had to go back and get it. But like, I tried for like a half an hour to fit this canvas in the car. Do you know not one person, there's so many people that just sat in the car and watched me try to fit this thing in our car.
First they were there, that's a lady who had the tuna fish dreams. Let's watch this.
I got that canvas a long time ago. I just had the tuna fish dream.
Oh.
Like a day ago. What was my dream I had last night? I know I told you about it this morning.
I don't remember.
Dang it. I'm going to write them down again. So, Peter, thank you for that reminder. I have over 40 paintings hanging on my walls at home. I don't think I hung up any of my paintings yet. Usually the style I paint in is kind of abstract, and my home's kind of like, I don't want to say farmhouse because that's the most annoying. That's the totally Karen. But I don't have any of those live, laugh, love things all over my house. I can't stand those. I have an enormous eat sign in my kitchen. Each panel is like, that's probably 3 foot each, right? 1 foot by 3 foot for each letter. I made string art and then made like eat. And we really do live up to that here. I have level 10 painting skill in The Sims 4. You can paint in Sims. Oh, Sims 4. I need to look at other Sims because the Sims ones I have, the Sim thing I have kind of sucks. What did I say put a pin in? Was it Mothman? Yeah, I said Mothman. Let's put a pin in it and come back to it. And I said that to Cats. And I don't even know if Cats is still here. My style is all over, but I use acrylics. Yeah. I mean, I literally bought 2 sets of oil paint so my husband and I could follow a Bob Ross tutorial, but we still haven't done it yet.
Yellow ochre and phthalo blue.
Beat the devil out of it. We're going to go outside and paint that because that's going to be messy.
What we got here is a beautiful can of tuna fish.
I look for angel wings on walls to take pictures. How so? Angel wings on walls to take pictures. Like you look for them in the grains of the wall as a silhouette, a shadow, or like you think you're seeing it in the wall, Laura. My style's all. I don't think there's anything silly, and I think art is subjective. I think anytime that you can create something out of absolutely nothing, it's art. So I think you can make art out of clay, if you can make music out of any kind of instrument. You can make art out of literally anything. Architects are artists too. I mean, anyone that can take something, but sometimes, I mean, there's people that take one thing and make it into another. That's artistry too. So, Hey, Josie. Hey. I use Bob Ross's style where no brush stroke is wrong. Even had happy little hidden shrubs. I don't ever paint landscapes. I think I painted one tree scenario, but it was a lady draped over a rock reaching for one apple on a tree, and I painted it on the wall of my bedroom a long time ago, and I swear I wish I could go back in time and cut it out of the drywall and take it with me. You stand in front, it looks like you have wings. So it makes so you have people stand in front of stuff so that you can take pictures of them, so it looks like they have wings. Am I understanding that correctly now? What if I can create music in the computer? Yes, that too is artistry. Of course it is. The secret shrub Bob Ross added in his paintings was our little secret where he buried the bodies. Only do landscapes for the backgrounds of other pieces I make. Yes, excellent. Somebody bought it was like a clearance art piece at was it Michael's? And it said fun at the lake. So they took it home and they painted Jason Voorhees coming out of the water in the little part of the lake there. I love it. Oh my god. Backgrounds of other pieces I make. Is cooking art? Heck yeah, it is. Have you ever watched someone create something so beautiful out of something that comes in a clump? Of course that's artistry. Have you ever watched a frosting artist? I mean, they're literally taking sugar and butter and they're making beautiful things from it. Like, I can't even believe it. You can take a clump of meat and a bunch of vegetables and make it look like something you can't even think of. And it's absolutely delicious. Duchess After Dark. Come for the stories. Stay for the conversations. Of course cooking is art. Yeah. I mean, if you really think about it, art is everywhere you look. Because cars.
Art is from within.
You're trying to be deep. But literally, cars were created from nothing.
Yeah, cars are art.
They definitely, you had to come up with some sort of design, and then that design had to become functional, and then you had to literally tweak that and perfect it, and now we've made it so expensive that most people can't afford them.
Taking pictures of art.
Painted on doors or walls like murals so you can look. Oh, okay, I got ya. Cake artistry is such beautiful stuff. Like, watch Cape Cod. Okay. Jokes. Dad jokes.
Sorry.
What do you call a snail on a ship? A snailer. But that one wasn't even funny. That's just sad. That's just sad. I was just gonna look something up when somebody said something about shoot. We were looking up. No, we were talking about. Sorry. I don't know how much longer we're gonna last here. Your eye is all red. Mothman prophecies. You can just Google Mothman. Mothman, and then like the third picture in is Trump. Why? It's just leading me to a series of videos, books. The Mothman Festival is returning to. So if you live near Point Pleasant, West Virginia, you can go there and see their festival that they put on for the Mothman. I'm full of info. What do you need to Google? Everyone is a bot. Huh? Robotics. That's artistry too. I mean, that definitely came from nowhere. Who was the first person that came with the idea of robotics? Because that's not something by nature that you would need. Like cars, we needed a better way to transport things. Huh?
The sticks.
Sticks.
Mr. Roboto.
Oh my god.
Da, 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 da. Secret, secret. I got a secret.
Not bot, but I don't bleed like normal humans. What does that mean, Tank? Bleed brake fluid. Let's see here. Does anybody live near West Virginia that's on here? Or anywhere in like that type of area where you can go there? That would be amazing. The first Mothman Festival was held in 2001. Since then, Wamsley says the event has grown to about 12,000 to 50,000 people that attend it. The event kicks off with the Friday night before Terror in the Skies Momo Missouri Monster, then officially runs from Saturday to Sunday. The festival features vendors, cosplay, music, food, guest speakers, hay rides, tours of the area where the Mothman's originally been seen. Yeah. I bleed chronic. Wow. You're highly sought after now, aren't you? You're bleeding chronic.
Just thinks he's bleeding, but he's not.
Huh?
Just thinks he's bleeding, but he's not. Gee.
Everyone's really relaxed around you. Not even close. I wonder how far is West Virginia from us? I don't see the dates on here, but this article is from April.
About 8 hours away.
So this must have started
7, something like that.
I'm trying to see the dates because it just says it was coming back. But it doesn't say the... So this gives all this information about the history of Mothman and says that the Mothman Festival was returning this year in 2021, but then it never gives the dates. Oh, in late September. It'll take place in late September. We could still go.
Bring the kitties.
Freak them out with a Mothman. Here you go. Now, if you don't behave and go to bed like I tell you to, he's going to come eat your feet off.
Here's a can of tuna fish in case he chases you.
Stop it. I'm like the new age gold. Country road, take me home to the place where I belong. West Virginia, mountain mama, take me home, take me home. Oh no. At least 14 hours or so away by car from you, I guess. It should be about 9 hours for me. We're only an hour north of Detroit. And you said you're 20 minutes north of Detroit, so it's probably about the same time. So I'm not in northern Michigan or anything. I'm south of Flint, man. Yeah. I had saved some funny stuff for us to look at, which is, I don't understand what's going on here. Oh, there we go. Okay. And a bunch of Halloween stuff. Has anybody put up their Halloween decorations yet? Because I'm really trying hard to not, but I really, really, really want to. Now we went to how many stores today? Did any of them have Halloween decorations up?
Mm-mm.
No. And our Spirit Halloween has been it's got the sign up on the building and the sign is out by the road, but there's no one in there. So
it's about 8 hours to West Virginia from here.
Oh, really? 8 hours. I live in the area of the Wolf of Bray Road in Wisconsin. The police have a file a half-inch thick of reports. The Wolf of Bray Road? I'm going to look it up. The Wolf of Bray Road. I've never heard about that. Have you?
Bray Road in my hometown.
You live in Michigan too.
Hmm?
You live in Michigan too.
From my hometown. I'm not from here.
You aren't. You're from 40 minutes north of here. When someone says I'm not from here, they mean they're from out of state.
I said, in my hometown there was a Bray Road.
It's Wisconsin. This is Wisconsin.
I know it is.
Okay.
I was just making a point.
Okay then.
Doing fish.
All right. 14 facts about the Beast of Bray Road. Dun dun dun. I've never heard about this before. If you guys want to hear about it, let me know. Already candy and decorations out in some stores by me. Halloween 365. Yeah, none of the stores I went to today had them out. I was really disappointed because everyone's been talking about how all their stores put their stuff out. So what the hell? I'm getting gypped out of the Halloween goods, I tell you. Need to go far away to see who's got stuff. Come close to the same time. I thought you were further. Probably do. We have a lot of country roads. Like we live right. Do you know where Denton Hill Road is? It's a pretty long road. People like to go on that. And there's a bunch of like dirt roads off of that people probably go off-roading on, don't you think? And they go to, like, it probably channels off from there because it's
off-roading. I think of the mounds
up north.
in my hometown.
Oh my god. Oh my gosh. I forgot Halloween was a thing. What?
Oh boy.
How can you forget Halloween is a thing? It's the only holiday where you can decorate your house, dress up if you want to, and you don't have to give other people presents. You can just have candy. It's a win all around. And it brings joy. And it wards off bad spirits. Win, 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 win. Never stop celebrating Halloween. Never. And I mean never. All right. I feel like I'm losing it. You're bleeding? Well, there was a mosquito in here because we left the sliding door open, so that's a brilliant move by us. Anyways, all right. So I think we're going to wrap it up pretty soon unless you guys have any more requests or discussions because we did start this coming up on 3 hours ago. My sister couldn't pronounce Halloween as a kid and called it Wiener Howling. That is the best thing ever. Wiener Howling? Corona isn't over. I prefer not to go shopping or to parties or licking strangers. I don't know what part of Halloween involves licking strangers, but we need to talk more. What Halloween parties are you going to? Yeah. Yeah, I'm not a big fan of shopping either. Like, today we went in stores, and I don't go in stores probably hardly ever. I pick up our groceries. Let's see. I go by Snowball Road and out to Houghton Lake. Oh, yeah, that's way north. And then further up, like Pigeon River and Wolverine Lake as well. Okay, yeah. Howling Wiener. Oh, you don't want to know what I just pictured.
Oh, boy.
Oh, my God. And now when you did that, it's the first time it's been quiet outside this entire time. Of course. My mom always told that story. Holy wiener. That's awesome. That should be on a shirt. I'm so sick of saying that. I need to write these down and actually put them on shirts and then wear them. All right. So I think we're going to wrap it up. And I'm going to thank you guys for coming. I'm starting to space out now, actually. I don't know about you guys, but after a certain part of the day, I can't have caffeine past like noon, or I'm not going to go to sleep at night. Like, I will, but it'll be like 3 o'clock in the morning. It doesn't matter what time I got up. my body will just have to like eventually just collapse. I picture that being done in a Looney Tunes like Wolf Wiener Cartoon Network. They're gonna steal that idea. I just know it.
The Wolf of Wiener Street.
The Wolf of Wiener Street. The Wiener of Wall Street.
Mm-hmm.
They're neighbors.
Mm-hmm.
They live at cross intersections. They steal each other's candy at Halloween. They compete over everything, including
Corner of Wiener Drive and Cox Avenue.
Oh my god. All right. I don't even mean to party. It's just not a good idea to lick strangers. As a general rule, I try not to lick strangers, but sometimes the heart wants what it wants. Anyways, on that note, before I say
lick strangers?
no.
Is there tuna fish involved?
Oh my god. And on that note, we're going to get off here before I say something absolutely bonkers if I haven't already several times. You guys have to let me know if you like this method better. I'm sure someone's probably preferring I make a video. But I like this because it means I can interact with you. I can read stories. And it saves me a ton of time, so it makes sure that I can entertain you. Thanks for the great night, and I'll tag you in that pic of the room. Okay, thanks. Yep. All right, so I'm going to say good night. Oh, somebody gave me a thumbs down. That's so mean. It's so mean.
Sorry.
This live stream sucks. I don't know what you came here expecting, but I'm just an average person reading average stories with average expectations. All right. All right. And I'm going to say goodnight and thanks for coming. Thank you for coming.